Valley Recreation and Park District is now open. We were in closed session previously, and we have nothing to report on that item.
Mike's running.
Elaine?
Everyone please rise. Right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which one?
Yeah.
Director Malloy.
Here.
Director Mishler.
Here.
Director Dixon. Director Magner.
Here.
Chairman Kelly.
Here. Amendments to the agenda.
Yes, we're going to pull Roadrunner's radio control off presentations.
And then I'd like to move to have the minutes removed from the consent agenda for discussion.
We're not at that point yet, are we?
Well, it says, according to my minutes, it says remove any consent agenda items for discussion. Am I mistaken? In my agenda notes at this point.
You're not mistaken, Mike. It's just new. It's only we've done that for a couple of months, and I recognize it because I did it as Bob did it per tradition, but per what is in the meeting.
You want me to do it later, or you want me to do it now
Let's
then?
do it later when we come up with the consent agenda, okay?
You go, yeah, no problem.
Motion to accept the present agenda, less the Roadrunners' appearance here.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
Director Magner.
Aye.
Director Malloy.
Aye.
Director Mishler.
Aye.
Director Dixon.
Aye.
Chairman Malloy, or Chairman Kelly.
Aye. Presentations. District highlights.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly, members of the board. My name is Connor Sudani. I'm a program specialist here with the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, and I'm going to give you district highlights as well as district spotlight. We're going to start off with the Aquatic Center, and it is currently closed as of yesterday. It's closed for pool resurfacing for the next 2-ish months or so. You can check our website and social media for progress updates. However, for right now, we have a planned grand reopening on February 23rd. So we're trying to stick to that. With classes and camps, we are looking for new contract instructors to teach some fun new classes. So if there's anybody out there who wants to, give us a call. With outdoor education, we encourage you to check out our Facebook page every month as we highlight an interesting nature fact to get you to explore your local parks. Don't forget we will have volunteer opportunities and nature classes such as fire ecology and nature journaling as we watch Camarillo Grove Park regrow after the hill fire. Also, our health and wellness classes are up and running. We recommend that you check out our new staff-taught program, Let PVRPD Wreck Your Body, where you can sign up to take a workout class that builds strength and helps with endurance and flexibility. As well, we also have our Dos Caminos classes. Our preschool age classes have already started. They're running from now through April. We have 20 in the next 4 months. Those class sizes are 8 to 12 kids, and they fill up. So make sure you get in on those. The Senior Center is getting their tax assistance program up again, February through April from 9 to 12 in the morning. That assistance is provided by AARP volunteers at the Senior Center on Mondays by appointment only, so make sure you get your calls in. Appointments will be taken starting the second week of January, so next week, January 7th. And presentations will be held at 1 o'clock in room 1 as well. We have a number of presentations in the next couple of weeks. January 8th, which is next Tuesday, skin cancer awareness. The 15th, new treatment options for atrial fibrillation. We have 2 info sessions on the 17th for a Sedona and Grand Canyon trip in April and a Yosemite trip in June. There's also one called You're Retired, Now What? On the 24th. The Senior Center also has a Monarch Butterfly Grove excursion on January 28th. We invite you to enjoy bus transportation to Pismo Beach and lunch at Cool Hand Luke's in Santa Maria on the 28th. Sign up today. I think they still have a couple of spots left. The movie and lunch this coming month in February will be on the 7th. That's going to be in the Community Center Auditorium. $5 lunch at 12's, which is, of course, $5, but the movie is free and starts at 1 o'clock, and it's Finding Your Feet. Some of the special events that we have on the docket right now, a Valentine's Day movie in the park is scheduled for February 14th. The free showing of 50 First Dates actually is going to be at Community Center Park with food trucks on site. So if you're hungry, bring your appetites and bring a lawn chair. Speaking of food trucks, we also have a scheduled food truck festival that we're going to be trying out for the first time on May 25th of this year. The festivities are going to start up at 4 o'clock at the Community Center Park with food trucks, live music, fun games, that sort of thing. More information is going to be coming on our website and social media, so pay attention for that. In the world of sports, we have some managers' meetings coming up in the next month. Adult softball and adult kickball. Managers' meetings are going to be on January 8th at 6 and 7 o'clock, respectively. And those are just good meetings for people to come to if they want to learn about new rules and registration information for some of the programs that we offer. There's also an adult basketball meeting on February 13th in the same location at the District Conference Room, and that's at 1605 East Burnley Street. We also have a doubles league starting for adult pickleball, on March 21st. We ask that you register before March 8th, $50 a person. For the Springville Dog Park, there are works in progress and works that have been completed. The retaining wall and irrigation main line have been completed. The mow curb is about 50% done, so it's well on its way. And as far as upcoming work to be done, upper fence needs to be set, the irrigation laterals need to be laid, and the decomposed granite needs to be laid as well for the path. Okay, and we're going to move right along into District Spotlight. And this time we're going to be highlighting holiday special events, and we want to emphasize too, we're calling it holiday special events because there were quite a few things going on between December 1st and December 8th. So we wanted to make sure we had some info on all of that for you. So Saturday, December 1st, was Breakfast with Santa. Santa met with 150 good boys and girls for breakfast, pancakes, toppings, sausage, and assorted beverages. We wanted to say thank you to all of our community partners that helped us out with that event. Greenway Irish Dancing and Born to Perform Studio provided us with some great performances that day. We also had the Boy Scout Troop 808 there selling poinsettias. Moose Lodge, our Camarillo Moose Lodge 2047 cooked all the pancakes and the sausages, and Oriental Trading actually provided us with all of the crafts, which was fantastic. We also showed our first holiday movie in the park, and that was Elf. That was shown on Friday, December 7th, the day before the Christmas parade. We moved the location into the auditorium due to the rain that had occurred a few days before, and we wanted to say thank you to everyone who came out for that. That was fun. And also, of course, our Ugly Sweater 5K and Donut Dash. That was before the parade in the morning. 101 total participants, which was pretty impressive, I thought, for the first ever Ugly Sweater 5K and Donut Dash. We wanted to say thank you to our community partners for that as well. Rolling Pin Donuts, Kind Bar, Big Five Sporting Goods, Trader Joe's, and BioFreeze. And, of course, the Camarillo Christmas Parade on Saturday, December 8th. We had 92 entries, 41 partners at Santa's Village, Anthony Davis as the Grand Marshal, and an estimated 8,000 plus attendees over the course of the morning. And here are just a couple of pictures for you. As you can see, some of the bands we had, some of the one of the equestrian units and some of the floats, as well as our Grand Marshal, Anthony Davis, right in the middle there. And I have said thank you about a dozen times now, but I'm going to say thank you again to all the people that helped us out with the Camarillo Christmas Parade, and there were quite a few. Really, just City of Camarillo, Ventura County Sheriff, United Site Services, Steve Thomas Mini of Camarillo, VIP drivers, all of them, and Tempo Cats, the band, Parade Day volunteers, Camarillo Cougars Youth Football and Cheer, Aries Amateur Radio Group, Journey the Church, and Los Posas 4-H Club, as well as the Commemorative Air Force SoCal Wing, which did the flyover at the start of the parade. Is there any questions I can answer for you guys since I'm here?
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one regarding the dog park. What's the expected reopening date at this point? I know that's like the question everybody really wants to know.
We're shooting for March 1st.
March 1st, okay.
But by the time we let the ground start growing again, we should be done with most of the construction within a month, I believe. And then after that, we'll have the sod starting to take place, reseed.
Okay, and how's the temporary park out at Freedom Park working?
People love it.
Good. All right, that's all I had.
Anyone else? Thank you for your presentation. Succinct, to the point, and packed with information. Thank you. Next, this is the time that's set aside for public comment. In accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3, the board reserves this time to hear from the public. If you would like to speak about an item on the agenda, we would prefer you complete a speaker card, such as the one I'm holding in my hand. Give it to the clerk of the board and wait until it comes up. If you'd like to make comments about other areas not on this agenda, in accordance with California law, we will listen, note them, and bring them up at a later time for discussion. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. I have a card here from Bob Aaron, but I do not see him sitting in the audience. I saw him previously, but he is not here now. Okay, if he comes back, maybe we will consider letting him speak at that time. But I'm not going to delay the meeting. Is there anyone else that would like to speak who has not filled out a card and sent it up here? Seeing that the audience, no show of hands in the audience, we'll go ahead and move on. But before we do, I would like to say that hope everybody had a joyful holiday period and hopefully got some time off. And are looking forward to another. I know we're looking forward to a big year, and every member on this board is committed to getting some things done concerning things like the senior center, the gymnasiums, and a whole host of other items. So again, those of you at home, those of you in the audience, happy holidays. The consent agenda item, we had one of our members that wanted to pull one of the items.
Yeah, I want to pull the minutes
Okay.
for discussion.
Consider it pulled.
Do we need to approve anything, or you approve the agenda? I'll make a motion to,
No, we have to approve the agenda minus that, and then
Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda less the item pulled.
Less item 7A. So moved.
Second.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Magner,
Aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye.
Yeah, for the minutes, you want to approve the agenda before you want to move into the minutes right now?
Yes.
Okay. My proposal is on the minutes is when we're talking about new items, discussion item number 9 there in the minutes, we were talking about the consideration of the proposed new park site for the Springville development, and there was a write-up on that. The one, we talked about a bunch of those issues, and there is the word parking is in there, but I would suggest we add a whole sentence saying that one of the items under discussion was the need for sufficient on-site and public parking for the new site location, to reinforce the fact that we're talking about on-site and public parking for it, instead of just saying parking, is my recommendation. We spent some time talking about that. What? Oh, I'm sorry, that would, on our handout, that'd be page 5 of 343. And that'd be that paragraph up there under 9A. So my proposal would be to add one new sentence, including in there saying, a need, one of the discussion items was the need for sufficient on-site and public parking for the new proposed park location. Just to define it better. That's all I had.
Do we need a motion to change the minutes?
I already did.
Motion, would you like to propose a motion?
Yeah, I propose that motion as with the sentence proposed.
Second.
I'll second it.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Director Magner,
Aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye.
Okay.
New items for discussion.
I think we need to approve the
Another
consent.
motion for the, do we need another motion? We already have.
We already did
Already
that.
did it.
We already did
Okay,
that.
okay. Making sure.
New items for discussion. Number 8, consideration of summer concert series.
So this item is consideration and direction regarding a partnership with the City of Camarillo to produce concert series in the park. And City Manager Dave Norman is actually going to do this presentation.
Good evening, Board. Feels a little strange for me to be on this side of the house, but I'm glad Mary's keeping my chair warm for next week. So I gave this presentation to the City Council on the 12th of December. It's hard for me to believe that it's less than a month and we're going full steam into having to deal with this issue. So I'm going to present what I presented to the City Council, which will lay the foundation for Mary's presentation, will come after mine. Even though I have a slide at the end of mine that asks for questions or discussions, I might suggest that we wait until after Mary's presentation, then we can take all those questions together. But I'll leave that up to you, Chair. So the history is actually pretty simple. The Concerts in the Park has been produced or had been produced by the Camarillo Arts Council at Constitution Park since it began over 35 years ago. The city has supported the Camarillo Arts Council with cash and in-kind support, but it is officially not a city event. It never had been. It had always been done by the nonprofit. The cash support grew to $50,000 a year beginning in 2016. And staff and in-kind support grew to $19,191 in 2018. Last year's season of 7 concerts and 2 movies cost a total of $117,191 to produce. The city paid 59% of the cost to produce the season, and that's for 7 concerts and 2 movies. And then, of course, as we know, the CAC informed the city that they would no longer be producing the concerts starting in 2019. Now, we've heard it said that lots of cities run summer concert programs, and the real answer is maybe if you have a Parks and Recreation department. So what we know is that in Thousand Oaks, the Conejo Rec and Park District actually runs their summer concert season, and the city pays for only one of their concerts. In Simi Valley, Rancho Simi Parks and Rec District does the summer concert season, and the city makes no contribution. Moore Park has no concert program. Fillmore, no concert program. Santa Paula, no concert program. Ojai, now their situation's a little bit interesting. The city contracts a promoter for ticketed concerts at Libby Bowl, and the promoter pays the city. Well, that sounds really good until you talk with the city manager in Ojai, and the reality of the situation is Libby Bowl is a major cash vacuum from the city of Ojai. They spend a lot more money maintaining Libby Bowl than they get in ticket sales for the concerts. In Ventura, the City Park and Rec Department holds concerts at Reyes Adobe. It's $20 a ticket, and there's no free seating. In Oxnard, the city's Cultural and Community Services Department partners with the Downtown Merchants Association in Heritage Square. There is free non-reserved seating available, but $7 a ticket for reserved seating. And Port Hueneme used to have the Weekend Beach Festival, but that is no more. Maybe with increased pot sales, they may bring it back. We don't know. Now, this is what the city paid for in 2018. The city's $50,000 cash was used by the CAC to pay for sound equipment and services for the concerts only for $20,100. They also booked the band Ambrosia for $17,500, and I'm going to come back to that. Stage lighting for the concerts only was $11,300. And then the city's cash was also paid for part of the private security and part of the movie rental. The city also directly provided porta potties and safety lighting, fencing, storage container moving, additional police department support, staff time to erect the lighting tower, the movie screen, the curtains, and some electrical. And then we also get trash dumpster service from Harrison through the city refuse franchise. And that comes to altogether $69,191. Now, what CAC paid for in 2018 was approximately $48,000 for booking 5 tribute and cover bands and the Channel Islands Orchestra. They also paid for hospitality for traveling bands and green room expenses. Part of the cost of private security and movie rental, insurance, publicity, concert programs, and miscellaneous other. The CAC's funding for their portion of the cost came from sponsorships, Pass the Hat at the concert, a $5,000 metal art grant, donations, and memberships. Now, the things to manage for the concerts are booking of the bands, and what comes up there is who makes the decision on the types of acts booked, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. The other question that comes up is musical genre diversity. Many of the acts tend to sound the same over the course of the summer, and there's a lot of talk in the community about why not we hear something different, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Real bands like Ambrosia, which are very expensive, versus tribute and cover bands, which seem to do a pretty good job and are not as expensive. And regional versus Vegas acts. CAC was bringing in acts from Vegas. Again, that comes at a premium. And if you get the Michael Jackson tribute, you get pole dancers with that too. Excuse me, I need a drink.
Whatever you're drinking, we all want to hit.
Only thing I can say is thank God the city wasn't responsible for that one. So booking food trucks and other food vendors is another thing that needs to be done. And then the whole subject of blanket and chair placement. It starts at Thursday at 5 p.m. for blanket and chair placement in the park, and it requires staffing. And I told the city council that they really should revisit this practice, and I'm going to take it back to them in study session, and we're going to get that a little more clarified and see if we can dial that back a little bit. Access to City Hall for the green room. What that requires right now is a person basically sitting inside the back door to ensure that people just don't walk in and out of City Hall. But I am reviewing the option to install new controlled access doors in the back of City Hall, which people couldn't get into City Hall. They would just be restricted to the bathrooms and to the break room, which becomes the green room during the event. More things to manage. Staffing during the event, general security and police department support. We need an event MC. There's band, technical, and crowd support also, usually on site when we have the event. Cleanup after event. A lot of staff are needed to pick up trash at the park and City Hall, the Latter-day Saints parking lot right next door, and sometimes the community center parking lot. It can sometimes take 3 hours or more to clean up after an event. So decisions that need to be made are who will organize and run the concert series. There are lots of promoters available to book bands. They come a dime a dozen. The real thing that's needed is an organization with financial and people resources to organize and produce the concerts. So how many concerts during the summer? There are currently 7. Other summer events also occur, such as Fiesta, July 4th, and of course, your board's events. How much money is the city willing to spend? Currently $50,000 cash plus $19,191 in kind and staffing expenses for the 7 concerts and 2 movies. Another $48,000 was needed from CAC to produce the full season using volunteer labor. My recommendation to the council was simply this: do concerts only, because your board already does movies and does them quite successfully. Explore a partnership with PVRPD to co-produce a summer concert series. Preliminary staff discussions between Mary and I and preliminary budgets that we've talked about indicate feasibility, and Mary's going to go into that more with you. Reduce the number of concerts for the first year to 4, 1 per month, starting in late June through September. We think that's very feasible. Continue to use the $50,000 cash plus city paid in-kind and staffing cost in partnership with PVRPD to produce the concerts. Based on 2018 expenses, the city's $50,000 would cover the major cash costs for 4 concerts, not including city paid in-kind expenses and staffing costs, which the city would still cover. So for the bands, we're looking at about $14,000. For sound, $11,600. Lighting, $6,400. Private security, $1,680. For about $33,680. And Mary's got a little more. She's got tighter numbers than what I gave the council, which leaves PVRPD $16,320 cash for staffing and volunteer organizing expenses, hospitality green room expenses, event insurance if needed, and Mary and I are looking at our insurance through the pools, publicity and concert programs, and miscellaneous other. Also, city staffing and in-kind for 4 concerts is estimated to be about $8,241, which is down from the $19,191. And I'm informing council that I plan on taking that $10,000 that's not being used because it's a smaller program and putting it into the pot so we can make this work financially for PVRPD and the city. Next steps. If the council did give direction to work with your board and Mary, then we would work with Mary to refine the program budget, and then Mary would seek board direction to partner with the city, and that's why we're here tonight. City Council would determine the blanket and chair policy, and I would be working with Mary on that to ensure that we're both in sync in terms of how that would work. The city manager and general manager would draft a funding agreement for council and board approval, and that would determine and assign the program and financial responsibilities of both parties. If the agreement is approved by city and PVRPD, then we would schedule concerts and coordinate with other community events. We would crowdsource community musical genre preferences and book bands based on community feedback. That was a very popular concept with the city council because in years previous, it was done by the CAC board, and they just decided what people would hear for the summer. I think it would be really interesting and telling to hear from the community about what they might want to see. We would book lighting, sound, security, porta potties, food trucks, vendors, and green room catering, and prepare and distribute marketing and advertising materials, and hold the first concert for 2019. That concludes my presentation, and I'll give it over to Mary.
So as Dave was mentioning, we've been looking at numbers just to see where we're at financially, knowing that we had not budgeted for this event or to take this event on. So what we did is we put some numbers together, knowing a couple things. One, we knew that we couldn't take on any new full-time staffing to put this event on. So that was a no-starter if we had to do that, which is also why looking at reducing it from 7 down to 4, knowing that summer is one of our busiest times, but putting on a special event once a month, so doing one in June, July, August, and September is doable. We already do food trucks, so that's something that we already do if we choose to do that as part of this event, because that was one of the things that CAC did. So we were looking at some of those things that we already do and partnerships that we already have. So just looking at it from some basic, so for Dial Security, I know the numbers were a little bit different. We already have a contract with Dial Security. What we would probably do for our purposes is look at the number of staff. For 6, we'd up it a little bit just because we've not done this event before. So we would look at security total of about 2,400 for all 4 events. We'd have an event manager, which would be more likely somebody like Connor or Sarah. Connor does most of our special events at this point. So what we would do is staff that person, and we allotted 24 hours, meaning 3 full days per event for them to be able to make sure they'd have to be there the day of, prep work, doing all of those things that it would take to get that going. So for that position, it'd be about $4,000. And these are rough numbers until we kind of start talking. Then from an operations standpoint, which I think is the big thing, is we do have part-time staff, which is probably one of the big considerations. So what we would do is probably have 10 staff working 12 hours per event, because like I said, we'd want someone there prior to helping throughout the event, as well as picking stuff up and doing all those things at the end of the event. So for the event, per event is about 1,800. So for all operations for part-time staffing, we put numbers to preliminary numbers about 7,200. We've put numbers together for marketing purposes, knowing that we would be doing that. We'd have our marketing specialist 12 hours per event, putting stuff together for all 4 events, which is about 2,000 that we would have. And then would also look at just marking collateral and stuff that we would need to do for that, which would be about another 2. So when you look at it, for our staffing, it'd be about 15,000. When you look at the performers, if you average the 3,500 or so, you're looking at approximately 14,000. Lighting, which they've already done, sound, marketing collateral, total expenses we have is right around 49,648. So, and that's for putting four concerts on. And like I said, that's just doing some preliminary information, putting some stuff together based on 4 rough events of what that would look like. We've also, Eric has done some called Conejo, Rancho Simi, and on average, most of the time, as you heard from Dave, is that most of the time those concerts are about 3,500. If you're going to do a cover band, I think Ambrosia was 17,000, a little bit higher than that, 17,500 to just do that one band. So they range all over the place depending on what we do. I can tell you, since the information has gotten out there, we've had we've had Rock City who stopped in who said that they'd be interested from a volunteer standpoint, or even looking at it for lighting, other kind of help and such. And we've had a few emails that have come out from the public saying that they'd be interested in volunteering or helping in whatever way they could. So we do have some touches out there, being that these are some of the things that we do. We do special events, so there are some touches out there and people that are interested. So that's kind of the bridge that I have from the personnel standpoint and where we're looking at from that standpoint. Questions that I can answer, or more specifics?
I have no questions at this time.
Mary, have you checked with Capri?
Yes. So we've actually had conversations with Capri as well as our attorneys regarding the liability. As most people know, there is alcohol at this event. So we actually have had a conversation. So long as we are not selling it, we're not actively promoting it, there's what they call a social host ordinance, which means that it would be a far stretch. Not that if somebody got in an accident from drinking, they couldn't sue us, but we are not promoting it. So there is a little bit of cushion there with that.
Okay.
I don't really have any questions, but I am very appreciative to the city that they've been proactive in jumping on this. I think it's a project that could have easily just disappeared, and it's very popular. I think the population of the city and our district are going to be very disappointed if this doesn't happen. So I'm glad we're looking into this, and I think it does fit into a project that the Park District ought to be participating in.
My question is regarding the chairs. And years ago, the Camarillo Community Band, which we host a concert series for all summer long, well, on our portable stage, used to perform here at Constitution Park. And my recollection is one of the reasons they had to move away was because there was all these chairs in the way when it was their turn to go on Friday night. And that sort of prevented them from staying here. And I don't know whether they're interested in coming back here. I know they seemed happy being at the community center, but this is a much larger venue, and as a part of a bigger event series, this could maybe be a boost to them. And I don't know how they feel about it, but I'm kind of curious to hear from you, Dave, about the chair policy, because it does seem like it adds significant expense because somebody's got to keep an eye on those chairs. And
yeah, the chair policy, it has grown over time. And you're correct. Years ago, from what I've been told, the community band did play, and then then they moved, and then the chairs kind of took over. Yeah, the chair policy is interesting, and one that I'm going to have to spend some time with the city council on to find out their comfort in changing that. It does beg the question, why can't people just show up on Saturday night with their stuff, and rather than having somebody watch everybody's stuff. So, but that's, let's face it, traditions are hard to change with the community. But then again, we need to really get serious about what it means to have people leave stuff in a park with the expectation that someone's going to watch it for them. And I think we need to have that discussion with the city council. And that's something I plan on, if we move forward together tonight, that's a conversation I'm going to be having with them, fairly quickly.
Okay. I definitely want to have the community band in the conversation, but that's really a thing for you guys to work out. It's just something for me to raise.
Thank you.
But I could also see great potential for increased sponsorship, because that's one of the things we have people here that are really good at, is rounding up sponsors.
I would agree, and our city council supports that. I think for this first year, because it's there's a lot of unknown for all of us, that we really wanted to keep it simple. But I think if we can get some sponsorships early on and actually offer some really good value for the sponsorship dollar, which seems to me to be rather lacking, I think we could be very successful in getting sponsorships for the concert. I mean, when you have up to 5,000 people viewing a stage and you don't see any sponsor things near the stage, you wonder, what the sponsor's getting for their money. And I think we could probably do very well in that regard.
Okay, that's the only questions I have.
Thank you.
I would like to inquire about who's going to take the blame when the flak and debris starts being hurled at us when we tell the people that they can't put their chairs out there in advance.
Well, that will be the city council. It is city council property, and they're well aware that if they do change that policy, they're going to have to take the brunt of that. It's not an easy decision. I fully understand that, and we'll let the council decide what they want to do.
One other question. I must have missed something. The bands obviously get paid, and the bands, depending on who they are, get more money or less money. In the overall program, like I said, this must have been the part that I missed. How is it determined, like for if you want a $17,000 band, how does that affect the amount of money that the city ponies up?
Well, if Mary decides to book a $17,000 band, I'm going to be down in her office, and we're going to have a very serious and frank discussion, because that will really be a problem for the budget.
You'll have to get past the five of us first.
Yes, I understand that. I think we both have an understanding about what reasonableness is, and we've both been talking to Rancho Simi and other organizations that put on these events, and we have a pretty good understanding about the true value of a good, cover or tribute band that is reasonable, for the community without breaking the bank.
Okay. But a little while ago, you mentioned that the sponsorship idea, that the sponsorship could be increased if we put an effort towards that. But the ability to get a sponsor, isn't it somewhat determined by the quality of the band that you have coming?
In some ways, yes. But remember, I mean, people are coming to the concerts for an experience, and they seem to be coming quite regularly for the experience. It's not just the bands; it's the whole come early, bring your food, bring your wine, and enjoy music. And after a bottle of wine, the band doesn't matter much anymore.
Just the
It hasn't
dancers?
for me many times.
Yes.
Just the dancers, Dave?
What's that?
Just the dancers?
Well, we'll keep the visual aspects under control.
Anybody got anything else?
Well, I have some comments to make.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a good concept, a good idea. I'm looking forward to moving forward with the city on this. I think we should move forward. Obviously, there are details to work out between our staff and the city to make sure this is implemented correctly and we keep it within budget. People obviously know that our budget's been, we spent all our money, and for us to put this on ourselves without the city's help or from the money side wouldn't be possible, because we would have to cancel other programming that we already have in the works to make this happen. So with the city stepping up like they have in the past here, but working with us, that allows us to move forward. So I think that's a good partnership. We also have the staffing and experience and knowledge to how to do these types of activities. So that's all positive. Another suggestion I would just throw out there for Mary and the city to think about, and this was an idea I didn't have, but someone mentioned it to me, was that if we have some, and I think it came up on your Dave's board up there, slides, if you have reserved seating areas up front, you can maybe have little areas that are flagged off or reserved or roped off up front, and you can charge a little fee for people to use those areas. Everybody else would be free, but that would be a way to generate some additional money. Mark's laughing. I think it was Mark who told me this maybe once, but Mark's a good promoter. So that would be an option to look at, maybe to help raise some money to offset the guards and other expenses that we have for that type of stuff. But I think this is a great concept. I like working with the city on this and moving forward, and I think it'd be good for the community. Thank you.
Any more?
I just agree with Mike. We have a great working relationship right now with the city. Dave and Mary work really well together, and we've got history of doing an agreement and being able to come to an agreement. So I think this is just something to expand on it. So I totally support it.
Further direction?
No, I made my comments earlier. Again, I'm appreciative to the city. The idea that the Camarillo Arts Council is going to pull out is relatively recent news, and really no time was wasted in getting on it. So I think it's a great project for the Park District to be involved with, and I'm all in favor of moving forward.
I recall a decade or so ago, Mr. Librato, our general manager, coming to us, and the Christmas parade had been put on, and the bands hadn't been played. It was like 6 months, and the bands hadn't received their money, and they needed like $5,000. And Dan informed us that we were getting in the parade business because the Camarillo Christmas Parade Association didn't exist anymore, and we jumped in, and the city jumped in with us, and we made the parade gets better every year, and it's taken some time, but I see this as the same sort of opportunity. I think if the type of music is varied and people knows that it's varied, there'll be a really different group of people there as opposed to the same people coming every time, as probably was the case in the past. At least that's what I'd hope would happen. So I think there's a lot of things to be worked through, but I think the same model is right on track here, and I'm kind of excited about doing this. This is a nice thing to add for our community, so I'm fully in support of it.
We serve all the same people, and this collaborative effort, I think, is just another example that two separate entities can work together. So with that said, does everyone agree with the suggested action provided in our document?
This will be for 1 year to try it out? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Dave and Mary do all the work.
Yeah, Dave and Mary do all
And
the
we
work.
cheer.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
got it. Okay.
And we should get the credit.
Yeah.
So then, Mary, the suggested action as stated in item number 8 is your direction.
Okay.
Okay.
B, consideration and approval of bid award for Freedom Park baseball fields.
Bob, were you out hiking or playing soccer or something?
Yeah, we'll call it that.
Okay.
My back bothers me, and I missed the bottom stair this morning and landed on my face.
Oh,
My knees, it's been a rough day. But Happy New Year. Hope the holidays are good. Good evening, Chairman Kelly and members of the board. Tonight I'm coming to you to ask you for approval on starting our baseball fields, Phase 2. So, a little summary, the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, the board approved a master plan in 2009. As part of the 2018 budget process, the board identified the Baseball Field 2 project, Phase 2 project, excuse me. Jordan, Gilbert, and Bain revised our drawings and changed up the fields a little bit on the west end there. So today, staff will be asking to award the bid to Ardlin Construction Company. A little background, in May of 2009, again, the board approved and adopted the original Freedom Park Master Plan. In June of 2010, the board approved and agreed with Jordan, Gilbert, and Bain Architects, landscape architects, to design the original construction plans, and they did a whole master plan of it. July 2017, the board reviewed the board approved to review and update the Phase 2 product, Freedom Master Park. I can't say this tonight. Freedom Park Master Plan. So this was the original design. We're working on the west end, this contract, and these two fields are apart, and now we're back in that field up to this field. It made more sense overall in the drawings and the lighting. So a little more background. September 6, 2018, at the board meeting, the board approved and updated plans and specifications for Phase 2 Freedom Park Master Plan and initiated the bidding process. The west end will be revamped for the addition of the 2 new baseball fields, Mustang and Pinto. And revised plans reflect the baseball field's updated specifications to conform to the new field layout. And here we go here. You can see now they're backed up each other. It made more sense for lighting, concrete, and everything else in there. So that's why we revamped it. So here's the analyst. Pleasant Valley School District's making some changes on us. The Pleasant Valley School Engineer of Arts transitioned K through 8. They were at school behind the center. I forgot what mine went blank on that school. Anyways, they're moving to Temple out there by the original baseball fields now. Los Altos is the original site. They have 8 fields. However, they lost 2 already, and currently they're being used by PV School District for. They want to put a track out there and some other changes they want to do. So, again, right now the fields aren't accessible to us anymore from 7 to 3. If we want to get on, we have to get fingerprinted and the whole bit. So we have limited hours when we can get out there. And same with baseball. They have limited hours when they can go out there. The discussion on using a fencing as field use during Pony's baseball season. Pony met with baseball or the school district, and they're going to allow them to put some outfield fences up, nothing major. And Mustang, Pinto, and Shetland fields, they have been affected by this change so far. Again, Camarillo Pony Baseball currently uses the 2 sites for practice and games. Freedom Park, is owned by Pleasant Valley Park and Rec, and Los Altos, which is owned by Pleasant Valley School District. The master plan will help alleviate some of the concerns with the loss of those fields. The Pinto field, U8, and we'll use for a dual field for Mustang and Pinto U10 also. What we'll do is we'll put portable mounds in there that we can pull in and out and move closer and further. Well, a little more background for you. On the November 7th, 2018 board meeting, staff asked the board to reject all the bids and rebid the project. As part of this request for proposals, the following items were addressed. Specifically, it was the what am I trying to say? The lighting. So, anyway, specific experience qualifications. At least 5 of them completed for baseball fields, a new public park, and installations greater than 2 acres. So they had that specification they had to qualify for. We removed Musco Lighting from the RFP and engaged a separate contractor to perform that scope of work with Musco Lighting ourselves. And I'll be talking to you that one later. So we held a mandatory job walk again, and that was on November 30th. We had 9 contractors attend. 6 responded back with the RFP by the December 14th. 1 withdrew their bid due to technical errors. And again, the bids range from $753 to $1.1 million almost. 3 of the 9 bidders didn't meet the required qualifications, so we disqualified them. And our engineer's estimate for this project is just under $1 million. And here's some of the licenses and everything that we went through. You can see environmental construction. They were our low bid, and they withdrew. They had some typos in their plan. They called me a couple days later and withdrew their bid. And then Artland, you can see they were next low bidder at $786. Hughes Engineering, $827, and it just goes higher from there. So fiscal impact. At November 7th board meeting, the board approved a 5-0 for staff to do a budget adjustment in the amount of $1.1 million in Fund 30, the Quimby account. The expense of this capital improvement project is included in in that $1.1 million budget adjustment. Project cost is $865, and then with a 10% contingency, we're going to ask for total $865. I'm sorry, their bid was $786, and total will be $865. So it's recommended the board approve and authorize general manager to award and execute a contract with Ardland Construction for the Freedom Fields baseball project. In amount of $786 and not to execute $70,000 for a total $865. That's all I got on that one.
Question, Bob, and I think I asked this last time. I'm trying to remember the answer when we were doing this before. On these two fields, there's not going to be a fence out there, is there, or is there?
No outfield fence.
That's what I'm saying. You show on your diagram where the fence would be.
Yes, yes.
It's a line out there, but there's no physical fence barrier, correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
What baseball fields did they buy or build?
I got the contract right here. Mosey Ardland, please come up. Top of my head, I don't remember which parks he's been at.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us over here. The bid form was fairly extensive, and there's a lot of information provided, so I'm assuming both, and by the way, congratulations, you couldn't pick a better architect to do this. So between Jay Bain here and Bob, I'm sure you guys have gone through the forms, but we have worked for Rancho Simi. We have done quite a few schools. We do a lot of schools, and frequently they have fields, baseball fields or football.
I want to know what specific baseball fields you've done.
Specifics, Phil.
We have done for Pleasant Valley Little League, El Rio Little League, Thousand Oaks High School. We did, not their field, we did their bullpens and stuff, and we did some stuff.
At the high school? Recently?
Yes,
Within the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever done pony fields that are actual pony baseball fields? Not Little League, not high school. Have you ever done actual pony baseball fields?
Pleasant Valley Little League.
That's Little League, though. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, yeah, they have actual, just different fields, so I was contracted by.
Okay, who's Pleasant Valley Little League?
That's off of
It's actually like in more markers.
PCH.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I can get that info.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay, do you know who they've done fields for? Yeah, pony baseball fields. Okay, that's okay. I'm just asking. So, okay, thank you.
Huh?
Yeah, Bob, could you go back to the master plan picture? And just for our purposes and for the people who are watching, can you tell us which portions of that project are completed and which are still in the planning phase?
Okay, currently we have 5 fields out there. We have our Veterans Field, and then we have these 4 right here.
So the long-range plan is these 2 fields that we're going to be discussing tonight.
On this end.
Yeah, and then you have looks like you have 2 a Mustang and a Pinto field, and a couple of Shetland fields that are still in the future planning phase.
Right. There's Shetlands here. They kind of threw those in because they're very small fields.
Okay, so none of those are built right now.
No.
Okay. You said we have 8 fields presently out at on the school property.
They had 8. I think they're going to be down to 7 after they're allowed to put one of the Shetlands back in.
Okay.
Temporary.
Okay. So which kind of field do we have out of commission then?
Pardon?
Is it the field that we have at? We're down to from 8 fields to 7. What are we missing now? A Shetland field, a Pinto field,
They took out 2 Shetland, so and temporary during school hours they lost one of the I believe it's a Pinto.
We have,
They're both Shetland then.
yeah, I was just going to say, if you have specific questions regarding that, I've got Johnny Lovato here from Pony, because it's not just about the Shetland. What happens is there's a trickle-down effect. So they take one away, so then they have to readjust some of their other ones. So do you want to kind of quickly go through how you're making those adjustments with the ones at Los Altos as they're removing those?
Yeah, so basically we had to remove our Shetland field, and if you don't know, we've been hosting the 5U World Series for that division for many years now. So luckily when we did meet with the principal there, hopefully maybe we can get some more pull for a little more home run fences, but kids all want to hit home runs. And we were able to get our 2 Bronco fields and our 1 quarter horse that we're now going to convert to a Shetland field, because we need that more than the quarter horse field to get home run fences. So we have 5 fields right now. Well, we lost one, so we have 2 Pinto, 2 Mustang with no home run fences this year, which a lot of our fans and families and players are going to be very upset. They're not going to be able to hit that ball over the fence and be able to do that trot around that everybody's excited about. So we're looking at trying to figure out temporary fencing for the time being for the weekends, which is going to be a lot of work on our part, but those kids just want it. They want to be able to do that. So we did get approval from the principal that when school is out, we're going to put those fences up for all the tournaments that we'll be hosting, the All-Star tournaments, the 5U World Series. We're going to suck up the cost, and we're going to rebuild that Shetland field for 3 weeks so we can still host the 5U World Series, because the minute we say we can't host it, we're going to lose it. And a lot of people love to come to Camarillo for the 5U World Series, and they're also coming for the 7U World Series on top of that. So currently our 2 Pinto and our 2 Mustang fields will not have home run fences.
Okay.
If you get a chance, we even went the extra mile this year, and if you go out there, the 2 Bronco fields and the Shetland field, we did the 4-foot with the yellow round top, so it looks just like at Freedom Park. It looks phenomenal. If you get a chance to go by there, I wish I can get the school district to let us do that on all the fields. But we're going to try to get the Mustang Temple field done too. He was concerned about being able to see the kids, and I'm like, you're going to be able to see the kids with no problem. So we're gonna hit them one more time to see if we can get one more field, our Mustang Temple field, to get the home run 4-foot with the yellow round safety top on it.
Okay. But in terms of the actual numbers of fields, you're basically down 1 from what you were.
We lost the Shetland field, and we lost our practice field that we had in the middle. They had made us take both backstops out of there.
Okay.
They're going to let us bring one back, but we're waiting to figure out. They need it to be as far and as possible away from the school, and we got to see if we can make it work.
Okay. Have they indicated to you what their long-term thoughts on this?
Long-term wise, we're going to lose our 2 Pinto and our 2 Mustang fields because they're going to put a football/soccer field out there. He was very adamant that he wanted that long rectangle from the Temple to Eston. That's why he's not letting us put the home run fences up. He wants that open space from Temple to Eston all the way across, just an open field. Basically, he's going to put cones out there, and they're going to basically start looking at soccer/football field. Is what I see happening. So our Broncos will probably stick around. That 1 Shetland might stick around, but we'll probably lose both Pinto and both Mustang fields.
Okay.
Thus, that 1 Pinto and Mustang with lighting is going to be phenomenal. It's really going to help us a lot. It's not going to be the total fix yet, but it's a huge step in the right direction for Camarillo Pony baseball.
And the issue that we're not planning to put fences out there, is that?
No,
an
what
issue
I'm
for you?
confused about is when you mean that there's going to be a home run fence, right? No home run fence. So the outside home run fence is not going to be there. I didn't know that. So, no, still a field with lights, but I had no idea that was the case. So that's news to me.
Okay. And so you're going to be losing 2 Shetland fields and 2 Pinto fields is what you expect in the long term.
2 Mustang.
2 Pinto and 2 Mustang.
Which is our 7/8, 9 and 10s, and we just lost a 5/6 field too. So it's our low end. It's our kids that are just getting into baseball and our future, so.
Ah, okay. Is there any options for reconfiguring on that present location to build any additional fields there to?
Fieldy?
Yeah.
Oh, there's zero options. They're not going to let us. In fact, just taking it away is what's going to happen. Yeah, there's no way to reconfigure. We're going to try to reconfigure a quarter horse field just for this season, but there's going to be no home run fence, no nothing. We'll probably just put four throw down bases and let our 5-year-olds play this season that way, and hopefully they don't get discouraged by the lack of the quality we've been giving all these years past. But that's all we can do for this year.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
I was just thinking about how in 1989 I asked the then chairman of the board when we'd have real baseball field, when will we stop camping at a schoolyard? And he said, oh, that'll take 10 years. And I said, oh, no, we can do it faster than that. Well, it's 2019 and it's now 30 years. And that the school district would have let us use this so much for so many kids for so many years is really great. And I think it's extremely sad that they've decided that what the community is using community facilities for is no longer appropriate and they want to do something else because there's a new principal and he wants to do something else. It's very disappointing to me, but it's their deal and they get to decide what they want to do. So I've known this was a risk factor for a long time and been pushing for this and not being tremendously successful, although opening the fields that we have there now in 2013 was a big step forward, and I knew it was going to happen eventually. But now it's time is now of the essence, and I'm glad that we've been marching forward and preparing to do this. So as far as the outfield fence, we're not putting a permanent fence with concrete in place. I'm sure we'll be able to put up a temporary fence during baseball season and for your tournaments and all that. But we want to be able to use this like we use almost everything else here, as much as we can every day as we can for everybody in the community. So that's really the purpose of doing that. But I don't have any questions. We've been working on this a really long time, and I'm fully supportive of awarding this bid.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
I've been involved in this particular project. Of course, I never knew what it was exactly going to look like years and years ago. But I've been involved.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on.
The green light's on, but
My white light's on.
Just doesn't seem to be coming out.
No, there's just one.
hold your mic down maybe.
Which one? Green?
No, that's the voting thing.
You want to vote?
I'll vote. Does that do it? Can you hear me? I'll just speak louder. In any event, I've been involved in one way or another with this particular project for many years. Too loud?
No. Just we're trying to pick it up so the TV can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that it has come this far and done in a way that was basically what I had in mind many, many years ago, along with that of other people, some of which are sitting on this board. I'm just overjoyed with the progress. What I want to know is where could I go to see a field that was done within the last 5 years so that I'm able to formulate in my own mind what this particular project's going to look like when it's done. This is a question for Arlen.
Yes, but I'll say all the bids, we had 9 contractors bid it. Talking with Jay, He recommended at least 7 of those contractors that came out, and we made our background reference calls. Simi Valley, highly recommended them, easy to work with. No, change orders were very minor. So, we did our due diligence on that end of it. Now, fields, I can't remember on the top of my head, but I know we did fields in the Simi Valley. Santa Suzanne, some in Santa Suzanne, I remember on the specs.
As far as similar, every field is different. So as far
Right.
as something similar to this, I have to do a little bit of research. And I can let you know tomorrow.
I'm not worried.
Okay, I'm not going to
I'm
beat you
not
up
worried.
on that very much, but
It's all
I
laid out.
just want to make sure everybody understands. And we did this when we did the Pleasant Valley Fields project. I remember sitting in a meeting just like this, asking the contractor what he intended to produce and what it was going to look like, and was it going to have this and was it going to have that. What I want to make clear is this particular project is very dear to the hearts of the people on this board and the community. And I personally want to make sure that the idea in your mind is just not to put up some fields kids are going to come in and out and play on. This is a cut above project, and I want to make sure that that particular attitude continues.
I believe it will.
Bob, if I may say something, it's really truly not up to the contractor what they put out there. It's the city has hired an architect. You have inspectors, and so we have to comply with the plans and specifications that have been brought out. So it's really, that's a good thing, that it's not up to the contractor to do whatever they want. We have to comply with what your architect and basically the park district will make sure that the quality is out there.
Yes, Jay designed them to where they are, Pinto and Mustang fields, different from Little League. It'll be up to us, project manager, Matt and Nick and I, and we'll be overseeing everything going on out there. Make sure the quality is where we deserve what we asked for. I mean,
You know the reason I'm asking this question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I believe, our architect did a better job drawing it out for us than previous other jobs that have been done for the district. This is pretty simple design. The biggest thing is going to be the poles going further in the ground with and taller, so we have in water ground table. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge. But everything else, I think, is pretty simple.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Of course. Go ahead.
The 3 of you are going to be the project people? You're going to be on site?
I'm basically the one, and then Nick will be there also.
Okay.
Because he's on the west end of town. Matt has other things going on.
Okay, all right. I feel confident in Jay's drawings because the other fields are very nice fields and they're done the way that they should have been done. So, and you're right. It's the architect and Jay's been around baseball for many, many years and I just like to have an idea of which baseball fields you've done because I've been around baseball fields for 50-some years, so I do know baseball fields. So, and I'm on them a lot. So, but I feel comfortable with it, Bob.
I think Mike.
Anything else?
I have another comment. I think
Okay,
Mike
go
did too, though. Bob, have we're hearing that this is the principal of the school has made pretty much the decision on these fields. Do we know, has it gone beyond the principal? Has there been any direction to?
I'll let Mary do this one.
Okay. As far as the school board, has it gone to that level?
I can tell you I've had a conversation with the superintendent. I can also tell you that at one of the board meetings that we had, and I had brought before you that, what's the name of the organization? Miracle League had come to us. Well, they went to the school board, and the school board actually had said that they will find some location at that site, which means that you will lose one field. And what they initially had told them is that, I'm not sure which field it is, but Pinto Temple Field would be that location, which as you're hearing tonight, that's not even one that has been taken away currently. So that intention, that means you now lose a Pinto field, and then you lose potentially some other ones. So I think the hard part for them right now is being that there's been a change in school. They're not going to tell you, they can't tell us today. I've talked to the superintendent. We've talked to the superintendent that oversees facilities, that it's clear that they're not going to be able to say that this will be our site and home site for the next 5, 7, 10 years. It may be the site for the next 2 or 3, but there's no guarantee longer than that these fields will continue to go away due to the stuff that they will need, especially now that it's a junior high, because their first priority is serving that school. So we've had conversations with the superintendent, had conversations, and then, like I said, I think we had a board meeting in the fall, and right after we got done discussing this initially, they had a board meeting the next day that literally stated that they were to work with Miracle League to find a spot at that site being off a temple.
Okay. Well, I know we're going to vote on this pretty soon, and I just have a couple of comments about it. By the questions I'm asking, you may be able to tell that I have a little bit of less enthusiasm about the entire thing. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. I have no issues with that. The question is the park district and the school district together, are we most effectively utilizing our resources to serve the community? And I have some level of discomfort that that's really happening. I feel like we're being backed into a corner by the school district. They are, they've made a decision to take away the use of fields that the district has been using for many, many years successfully, serving the very same population of children that the school district is serving. Those kids, as they get out of school, come out and play baseball right on those same fields. And whether or not there are other options for the school district in terms of what their needs are. I know there's limited amounts of property and limited amounts of resources, and everybody's got their priorities as to what they need. But I find it very frustrating that we have to abandon perfectly functional fields that have worked for this community for many years, and then take $1 million of the district's money to build 2 new fields. And as Bob pointed out, as that master plan shows, that doesn't even complete the project. So what are our future costs in terms of additional fields if we started losing additional fields that we have already? So I think we may be cornered into having to make this decision tonight on spending this kind of money on this, but in the future, I think that we need to make it a priority to deal, just as we've developed a better relationships with the city, maybe we need to more closely work with the school district in terms of serving our common population and avoid unnecessary expenditures and unnecessary waste of expenditures that have already been made on the current fields that are now going to be taken down. So that's my comment on that.
You have anything else, Mark?
No, I mean, the master plan has been in place for a decade, and this is the next step in the master plan. It's time to get with it. So that's all.
I think there's no doubt about the fact that there's a progression taking place where the school districts, for one reason or another, sometimes it's security, sometimes it's interference, in their opinion, with their own programs. It can be various reasons, but there can be only one final result that I personally believe is incontrovertible, and that is that districts like ours have to have our own facilities so that we can direct our own future. And the old model of relying on school districts, even though they are built with taxpayer money, many times from the same exact people, smart money is on having your own facilities. And yes, I know it's expensive. It doesn't always work out exactly the way everyone would like. But at the end of the day, those that have their own facilities will suffer a lot less than those that don't. And that's my final word on it. So,
Mike's good.
A final comment and background for the public who doesn't know, in our relationship between Pleasant Valley Rec and Park District and the Pleasant Valley Elementary School District, for this joint use agreement we've been having out there with them on these fields for after-school use, the Park District does provide the watering. We pay the watering bill out there and the maintenance for the grass and stuff. So that's $60,000, $70,000 a year, maybe out of our pocket. We're helping the school district. So this is not a one-way relationship. I just want to point out to the public. So once the school takes over all that property and turns it back into 100% school use, they're going to have to pick up all that watering bill and all their own maintenance costs that we've been shipping in to help offset all this. So we weren't getting a free ride off of this. We were paying our way for the community to have this joint use in the past. And I just want to make a comment about that for everybody to know.
I want to make it clear that we, the Park District, put very little maintenance cost in there. We pay for the water, but Camarillo Pony Baseball pays
Yes.
for the maintenance, so,
Yes.
or the majority of the maintenance. So that's been on their back for quite a few years. Plus, they built all those backstops and everything, and and purchased all the seating and everything. So, and they've worked with us to get it done. But our crews have been so good about taking care of the sprinkler systems and making sure that those things have, as I remember, the remotes coming up missing and things and the pumps and everything. So
Yeah, we do all the main lines and all the
yeah,
sprinkler.
and do a wonderful job of it. But they pay for the actual maintenance of the grass and everything. So, but and I think they will probably continue to do it, moving it out to Freedom, because that's what they're doing out there. Is they're working with us that we're doing it. So the schools losing is what they're losing, is they're losing the watering and the maintenance. So they are losing.
Mary, will this be a two-motion item with one first and then two, or?
The Musco lighting, 2 seconds.
That'll be in a different Musco will be in a different agreement. So the action for this one be considering approval of the bid award for Freedom Park Field project to Artland Construction Company.
A motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Magner,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Reluctantly, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Mary, I'm still not clear on this item number 2 under B, the 865-260. Is that a separate item of
No.
discussion, or was that the same discussion we were just having?
Same discussion.
Same discussion.
Okay, thank you. Item C, consideration approval for general manager to enter into an agreement with Musco Lighting to install field lighting on the new baseball fields at Freedom.
Good evening. I'm back. Tonight I'm going to come to you have the general manager sign an agreement with you on a Musco Lighting. Again, the board approved a master plan for Freedom Park in 2009. As part of the 2018 budget process, we had identified the Freedom Fields as a project, and Jordan, Gilbert, and Bain, our landscape architects, they did all the drawings for the Phase 2. Staff is recommending the utilization of a government purchasing alliance mechanism to award a bid to Musco to install ball field lights. At the November 7th, 2018 board meeting, staff asked the board to reject all bids for the current project. And as part of the update, request for proposals, the following items were addressed. There was confusion on the bidding process with the lighting system requirements. So we had, I think out of 7 bidders, 2 of them used Musco. The landscape architect, along with staff, included clarifying the language regarding lighting. Then at the mandatory job walk, we had one of our contractors ask us about being Musco's a non-union company, they can't use them. And that just opened up can of worms for us. So, we went and talked with Jay, we talked with our lawyers, and worked it all out. So we went back to Musco, and we're going to hire them to do their work. They'll hire their own people to do the job, which they already do. And it just we put an addendum into the RFP to remove Musco out of it, that end of it, for the major lighting. So what Musco will do, they'll put the poles up, run a wire to the ground, and stop. And make sure everything's, pointed the right direction. So,
And wired.
No, wired on top, yes.
And there'll be lights on each pole, right, Bob?
That actually work. Come
Okay,
on.
okay. All right.
Bright lights?
Yeah. Yes.
1,500 watts.
Yeah.
So PVRPD will engage in a separate contract to perform a specific lighting scope of work. Currently, the district has a Musco light structure system that all of our fields have at Freedom Park and every other park that we have that has ball field lights. Advantage of the Musco system: no known equal lighting system is to match their system, their current system. The different source would cause an increase in lighting cost, cause of failure issues with programming lights and lighting components, which they don't match. And we'll utilize the government contract where we don't have to go out to bid. It's already been done for us. We've done this with our playgrounds and some other items we do with. Some of the key values and features that are unique to Musco is they have a luminary efficiency, a smart lamp technology. All their lights stay at a constant field levels, the light. They're energy efficient. They call it spill light control. They control where the lights need to go, not all over, and that'll cut costs by 50%. Or spill lights cost. Extended life lamps from 3,000 to 5,000 hours, and we can say that about PV Fields. We've barely changed any lights out there. It's been 8 years. So, again, some of the key values and features of the Musco lighting: their durability, their die-cast aluminum reflectors. They designed to stand 150 mile-an-hour winds. Inclusive of all the work associated with, they'll take out the existing poles that they need to, 3 poles, and they'll dispose of those. They'll install the new poles, change out the fixtures that need to be changed out. On the existing poles, they're going to move a couple from one to another. They'll relocate that's what I just said, existing fixtures, and they'll re-aim the existing lights to meet those fields. Again, that'll be all their scope of work to make sure they're shining where they need to shine. And again, this is just a diagram, where they're going to be moving them to. It's on our main plans. So, at the November 7th board meeting, again, staff asked the board to approve a budget adjustment amount of $1.1 million in the QIBME Fund 30. The expenses of capital improvement projects is included in that $1.1 million, and the project cost of this will be $138. So, if they have a contingency, that's what it'll be up to. So it's recommended the board approve and authorize general manager to award and execute a contract with Musco Lighting for the Freedom Baseball Field lights in the amount of $125,916, and to execute a contingency amount not to exceed $12,592 for a total of $138,508. Any questions?
When this was originally in the bid, the first set of bids, was it bid out separately by the various bidders on the project? Could you identify what the lighting costs were?
Not really. Because there's a bunch of lighting systems there, and when you compared everybody's, they were all over the place. So it really didn't. It did, but it didn't.
My real question is: does the amount that they're bidding on this job, is it consistent with what it looked like they were offering the other contractors before, or less?
Some of them, yes. Some of them were like they dropped their price $60,000, where others dropped their price $100,000. So
okay, all right. That's the only question I had.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd say is for the public's purposes, this might be a little bit confusing, but this is essentially the same thing. This is a part of what we just voted on earlier. So it's not an additional $1 million expenditure. It's part of the original expenditure that we just talked about.
And we're not paying the 20% markup that the contractor will be charging us for it.
Right.
And I think, too, would you go back to the drawing, please, Bob? And you heard Bob talk about moving some of the poles. I was out there the day we did the walk with Musco the first time, and that was why it was just better utilization of the land and the property, and for us to have the lights where we can use them for other sporting events, not just baseball. So it will light up other areas. So, but I think it works out to the advantage of baseball and of the Park District to have the fields that way. So, much better. So, and Musco's the only way to go. I'm sorry. I have a lot of experience with Musco, and their lighting systems are just much better. So.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the general manager to execute a contract with Musco Lighting for the Freedom Baseball Fields project in the amount of, a total amount of $138,508.
Second.
Director Magner,
Aye.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Same as last time, a reluctant aye.
Chairman Kelly.
D, consideration approval of bid with Great Western Recreation Game Time for the purchase and installation of a 30 by 30 park shelter at Pitts Ranch, and authorize the general manager to purchase standardized site amenities from Pilot Rock for the park shelter.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly and members of the board. Matthew Parker, Pleasant Valley Rec and Park Supervisor. Tonight we're going to discuss Pitts Ranch Picnic Park Shelter Capital Improvement Project. Staff is recommending utilization of a government purchasing alliance mechanism to streamline procurement for the structure and installation of at Pitts Ranch Park, in combination with purchasing the district's standardized site amenities directly from the site amenities vendor. During the development of the Parks Department's budget, the board had directed staff to explore different options for adding additional reservable picnic shelters. Staff surveyed the district's site inventory and determined that a suitable site for additional picnic would include or must have space, obviously, for the new picnic area, a restroom, parking, playground, plus other highly desirable amenities such as tennis court, basketball, volleyball, etc., and a high rental demand as well. And Pitts Ranch had all these elements, and so the staff decided to move forward with that. With that decision to select that park for a new site. With adoption of the district's 2018-2019 capital improvement budget, amount of $64,000 was allocated for the project. Then at the regular November meeting, the board directed staff to seek out procurement mechanisms for the picnic and its installation and bring it back to the board for approval. So that's why we're here tonight. Analysis, I'll give you a little analysis of what we were looking for when we were researching this. Staff researched several options for the purchase and installation of the shelter and amenities, including a full request for proposal, like turnkey. Another consideration option was to have the district act as a general contractor to purchase the equipment and subcontract out all the different trades for the installation. The final option for procurement and installation that was explored was the utilization of government purchasing alliance mechanisms such as GSM, CMAS, and U.S. Communities. From the different purchasing and installation mechanisms explored, staff is recommending that the district utilize the government contract through U.S. Communities for the acquisition and installation of the picnic shelter in combination with district staff handling the purchasing and installation of the picnic tables and barbecue amenities. Now, staff believes that this would be the most equitable option as it would streamline the procurement process, allowing the district to start and complete the project earlier, and potentially allowing the district to capture revenue from rentals as early as spring of 2019. Also, with the district purchasing the site amenities directly from the vendor and utilization of in-house staff, for the installation will eliminate contractual markups and costs associated with the installations of those amenities. Okay. The advantages of using a cooperative purchasing program like the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance, it incorporates the measurable savings through aggregate purchasing and allows other public agencies to capitalize from volume pricing without undergoing separate RFP process. Currently, over 55,000 agencies are purchasing products and services through U.S. Communities alone. In addition, the district would have a tremendous amount of staff hours associated generating a request for proposal and going through the process if the board decides to support staff's recommendation. We'll get to that later. Here's the cost breakdown. We got the shelter plus the tax and freight at $28,097.53. Shelter installation is $28,825. The concrete and insulation is another $15,665. Tables, barbecues, $8,441.80. And city permit is approximately $1,000. The total project cost of $82,029.33. Here's a rendering of that shelter that's being proposed tonight. As we discussed at the last meeting, it has this design has a vented roof, and it is a 30 by 30. Here's the project timeline. Early January, order the picnic shelter, tables, and barbecue. By February 18th, take delivery. And February 25th, start the installation, and hopefully by March 15th, completion of installation. Fiscal impact, and like I said, an allocation of $64,000 was allocated for this project, and approval of the board's adoption of the 2018-19 fiscal year budget. The bid for the shelter and installation came into $72,000, $580.53, and plus or minus $1,000 and change for city permit. Pilot Rock, they're the vendor that we would be dealing with for the site amenities, the picnic tables and barbecues. That quote came in at $8,441.80, with a total fiscal impact of $82,029.33. It's a little bit over what we anticipated. However, some of the things to consider is the vented roof version of the shelter adds a couple $1,000s there, and then overall steel went up in price of about 15% since we first explored, when we were making the budget. So some of those kind of play a factor with that. So the recommendation is to approve the quote from Great Western Recreation and authorize the general manager to enter into an agreement with them for the purchase and installation of a 30 by 30 picnic shelter, and authorize the general manager to purchase district standardized picnic tables and barbecues directly from the vendor. So if you have any questions, and
No questions.
No questions?
The vented roof is to match the other
Yeah.
pavilion that's there already,
Yes.
right? Yeah, okay. I thought so, but that's the only one I have.
Is $1,000 for the permit for the city inspectors to check the building construction?
yes.
I'm sorry, I do have one question real quick.
Pardon?
I do have one question real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure who would answer this question, Leo maybe, or Mary. As I'm reading through this, the product warranty and such, it says on here that they take credit cards. Do we ever buy things with credit cards? Even though I know we have the cash to pay for it, but
Usually not at that high dollar, but yeah, we have used credit cards for purchase of.
a 1% back on $82,000 is $800. So it's just consideration.
Probably could pull all of our cards together to get that.
It's an interesting question.
It's a little off our credit limit, I'm afraid.
Anything else? Okay,
I'll make a motion,
go ahead.
if you're ready.
I'm ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote from, why don't I read the right one? Great Western Recreation, and authorize the general manager to enter into an agreement with them to purchase an installation of a 30-foot by 30-foot picnic shelter, and approve and authorize the general manager to purchase district standardized picnic tables and barbecue directly from the vendor Pilot Rock.
I'll second.
Director Magner,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item E, consideration and direction regarding our Neal Ranch project design.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly, members of the board. Nick Marienthal, Park Supervisor, and I am here tonight to ask for direction regarding some options we're going to present regarding our Neal Ranch design. So our Neal Ranch Park is one of 28 parks owned and operated by the district. Over the past several years, dirt has accumulated with thatch, and just a lot of dirt has built up, creating maintenance issues along the track. At this time, staff is asking the board for direction regarding our Neal Ranch Park. So our Neal is a 5-acre neighborhood park and was developed in 1980 and offers the following amenities: quarter-mile decomposed granite track, 9 exercise or workout stations, a playground for kids ages 2 to 5, restrooms, and a large open grass area used for several different activities. And over the past several years, there's been multiple factors which have led to the deterioration of the turf. Mainly, the main two has been, like I said, the thatch and dirt have built up to not allow the water to drain off from not only rain, but the biggest concern is our irrigation. So having said that, our irrigation system is inadequate, it's compromised, and down the middle of the perimeter of the park, there's about 18 irrigation heads per station, which is way too many. So the pressure is just, we've lost pressure. Staff has tried to change out nozzles. We've changed to low pressure nozzles. The only thing that really seems to work is to increase our water. We're watering, if we're watering, say, 30 minutes, we're doubling that watering an hour just to kind of get the flood effect to keep the center green. Along the perimeters, we've actually had to stop irrigating it because of the flooding issues we've had with the lipping so high. We have the water around the hedge just drains onto the track. You're watering for 45 minutes. It's just flooding that entire track, which in turn, it's a muddy mess and just a mess. So we've actually stopped watering the track altogether on the perimeter. We've raised the heads as high as we could to try to alleviate that. We've moved them, but it's still just, unless we move them 3 foot out, which really wouldn't make sense, it wouldn't make a difference. So in here, it's kind of hard to see, but you can definitely see the lip, and down here is a mow curb. We'll see these little cutouts. My thing, oh, there you go. There's a cutout there. Right there, that's actually designed to let water drain off the track. And as you can see, water's not going anywhere. It's going to stay right on that track because that lip's so high. That's about 6 to 8 inches in some areas. Some areas are even higher. Yeah, and here's the perimeter of the tract, and you can see with no irrigation, that's what we're left to deal with. Just a barren area. And all honesty, that picture makes it look a lot worse. That looks like it's probably 30 or 40 feet out. It's in reality, that's about 10, 15 feet out, just what the span of the irrigation heads would be. So option one would be in-house staff, with all in-house staff, and it would be the removal of the lips, to reestablish the original grade around the track to allow for proper drainage. We'd be installing 2 new irrigation valves for the the interior perimeter of the track. And then we'd also be cutting into the existing irrigation lateral lines that run down the center of the park to split those into 2 stations. Again, like I said, each valve running down the middle has about 18 to 20 heads per station, which is about twice as much as what should be on them. So, and with this, it would increase the irrigation by approximately half an acre of turf and increase water approximately. Now, I definitely went high on this just until we can kind of get all our nozzles dialed in, see where our precipitation rates are, and get a better idea. So I went on the high side saying $2,000 a year. It may be that, it may be less. I would feel comfortable saying it will be less. Estimated project cost and time frame is 4 to 6 weeks. Again, that's in-house staff with 3 to 4 staff members, and materials would be $4,000 to $5,000. Option 2, it would be to hire a landscape architect and remove approximately 24,000 square feet of turf, or a little over half an acre, and come back and landscape those areas with drought-tolerant plants. We could look at relocating some of those workout stations to those locations, and design a low-voltage lighting system, which would, give all the citizens of the district a lighted track they can use into the evening, and exercise stations.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
Option 2 is an outside the track fix, and option 1 is
no, it's they'll be both. So option 1 was in-house, just basically doing the lips and irrigation is all we'd be looking at, doing that in-house.
And that's the inside of the track.
That's the inside of the track, correct. Option 2 would be, of course, to go out, get a higher landscape contractor or landscape architect, and then contract all that out. And I'll keep going on with this. So they'd also be removing the lips and a complete irrigation redesign. And this option could offer the citizens of the district a newer, completed, and more usable, updated fitness park and space. So here would be option 2, basically. So all the yellow would be the area of under construction. So that's almost all of that would be turf removal and relocating all our exercise stations. Now this thing's kind of dying out. I don't know if you can really see that very well, but it would be to move the exercise stations on the north and south side of the park, but into the where it's existing grass, where it's yellow, and then again put a lighting system in. And really the sky's the limit. We could really do whatever. This is just an option to kind of give us direction where the board would like us to go with this. So some of the benefits of an outdoor fitness equipment would be to promote exercise, of course, eco-friendly, no electricity, and very low maintenance. And it's available to everybody, multi-generational, improvement of health and physical activity, which is huge. And we definitely be attracting a positive outdoor use for everybody. So it is recommended that the board provide direction to staff regarding our Neal Ranch Park. And with that, is there any questions I can answer?
Well, okay, I guess the first question, Nick, is, this is a minor question, but on your theoretical light poles going around the track, you got one there with the trees. I mean, obviously you would do some pruning and.
Well, yeah, and that's just
Hypothetical, just a concept idea.
Yeah, it's exactly, just a concept. Until we have an architect come out and see exactly what we need and lay it all out and kind of get, down to the solid core, that's definitely just a mock-up. Now,
down the center of that field, which you're not even talking about doing anything with, well, help me out. If you go back to go back to your diagram. Yeah, there you go. Okay. In the center, are you going to do stuff with the irrigation in that center?
Absolutely. No matter either option, option's getting the irrigation needs to have pretty much a complete overhaul.
The entire site you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to cut into it. If we go with option one, in-house staff will cut in. We need to split those valves into two separate stations.
Okay.
To alleviate the loss of pressure. I mean, you can see. I mean, yeah, we're way overwatering that park. We're probably, I'd say, we're about 75 to 80% coverage right now, just because of the low pressure and the amount of heads per valve.
Okay.
So by cutting into it, I would say we'd be at 95 to 100% coverage by splitting the valves into two, going 8 to 9 heads per valve instead of the 18 to 20.
Okay. I guess I'll just kind of move into comments merged in with questions, if something, whatever. I've looked at this and obviously been out there many times and walked around, including today. And I've even looked at it in the past and stuff. To me, I would prefer, my own personal opinion is, for the community, is not to do a short-term fix on this. I would rather go a long-term, just look at what we need for the community, just do it right. So that we got something that will last, another 20, 30 years or something, and not screw around doing a quick fix type of thing is my preference. And as some of that stuff that would be included, I can kind of go with, if we want to do lights around the outside, we can follow up on that. I want to make sure that we have trees around the outside, that if we do something with irrigation, we go to a low drought. You mentioned that as one option, that the trees still get water on the outside.
Absolutely. Even though we'll be removing the turf, we're not going to let those trees die. We're going to re-landscape and definitely make sure those.
Yeah, I don't want to go in. Yeah, and moving grass from the outside doesn't bother me too much. If we were to go from a grass outside of the track to something else. Low water use type of application thing, that wouldn't bother me as long as the trees get water. Maybe even put some, obviously, more trees in as you move forward with this. On the inside, in that center section there, the kind of open space between the trees, there's obviously two drains, one on each side by those trees. And I guess those drains are probably have to be fixed there in those locations.
There's the drain right in here.
Yeah, there's one on the other side too.
But yeah, on the other, but in the main grass area.
There, yeah, so those drains are going to be staying there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand that. But going down the center of the field, you have two valve boxes in that open space. You got two valve boxes. I would assume that if we were going to do this, that the valve boxes would be moved out of the center, redirected to the side or somewhere out of the way. Correct?
Probably not. If we're going to do it, we're not going to move the valve. In-house staff, we could look at relocating them, but there's actually a lot more than two. The two they may be buried, but there's about 6 or 8 down the middle of them. All the valves for the entire track here are all down the middle. The only valves all these valves that you see here, they only run that perimeter.
Okay.
So there's no even the half heads, those valves are all located down the middle.
I'm laughing because I only saw two valve covers.
Yeah.
There's probably some other
6. I think there's 9 to 13 total valves.
Okay.
There.
What I'm getting at is, and if we were to if you point to some of those smaller trees on the north edge of that open space, there's some small trees up there. What I'm thinking is, if we take out some of those small trees, take out those valve boxes, and level off that area, this would make a nice little small playing field or practice field area.
Well, believe it or not, that field does get used
No,
quite
I
a
know.
bit.
Yeah, I know.
For
ASO,
practice,
I know ASO.
and
ASO
baseball,
uses it.
t-ball,
Right.
absolutely.
But that, it's very rough right now, and we got a big light pole sticking up.
Well,
there.
and to continue on what you're saying, a lot of that dirt that we'll be removing, it's all going to stay at the park. Where there's plenty of, we can fill in highs and lows. We were planning on filling in along all the trees with all the roots, all those big ash trees. We were going to backfill all the roots, but a lot of that material is going to stay on site and just be spread throughout the park and feathered out.
Okay. So my general comment my general feedback would be to go with a long-term solution. Just go out and get this thing done right. The outside, take out the grass and help us reduce the water costs, but make sure the trees get water. The inside, take out the old light pole. I don't think that's been used.
Yeah, that's on every night. Yep.
Is that on every night?
That's on every night until,
So if we move it out of the way or do something, then we have a little bit more open space in there.
Right.
This obviously not a full-size football or soccer field, but like this would be a small-size field. Make it nice, usable area with the valve boxes moved out of the way, so that the whole, we can get more use out of it long-term. That's my comments.
Okay.
I'm for long-term.
And one quick comment, I will be out at Freedom Park every day watching Bob, just so you know.
Thank you. But I'm into long-term for Arneal because that track, my son ran on it 30 years ago, and I go out there from time to time, and that is a really heavily used area, so.
Absolutely.
I think we really need to put the money in there, and there are some other features that need to go away out there. We won't get into what those features are, but I think I'd definitely go for the long term.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like this park. It's one of my favorite parks in the whole district. And I'd like to see us really do a really nice job on this. When you've got these two options here, I didn't see anything in here that even a hint as to what costs we may be talking to regarding the different plans.
Yeah, we'll get on that. If we go with option 2, that'll be our next step, is to start looking at cost, and I'm sure Jay will be a part of that. I'll be calling him and meeting with him and put some. This was just kind of an option, just kind of see which way the board wanted to go. If we just wanted to do an in-house, get rid of the lips, fix the irrigation, and basically call it good. The second would be to look at, and realistically, the district, we have a lot. We could gear this to an exercise, theme park, where that's, and it is already. Don't get me wrong. There's certain times of the day, especially morning and in the evening, but there's not a park out there that's geared just around exercise. And we could do that. We could maybe start doing classes here. There's the sky's the limit. But really gear it as fitness oriented park.
So
Is there?
let me jump in for just a second. The reason there's no prices if we do a long-term fix is, one, we'd have to tell the architect of what we're looking for. And so right now, it was just to kind of put a concept up on the board, because what we really need to do from them is sit down and look at, are we going to ask them that we just want the turf on the outside and we want drought tolerant? Are we asking them to do the outside and then look at the inside as well? So before we can get a really good concept or a price, which we'd come back with, it was just a matter of, do we want to go that direction or not?
Yeah. Well, obviously, if we're going to redesign it, we want to do it in a more water-efficient design. And with that in mind, in the past, we've had at least one instance where a developer's come to us with a need to offset water use for a new development.
Buy our water rights.
Yeah. Are we aware of any possibilities of a project like this being funded in the same way?
There's not right now. However, the irony of this morning in my mailbox is there was something from Callegas Water District that's looking for potentially turf rebates. So we'd have to do a little bit more an investigation with that regarding water-wise, which they may. The little bit of information I saw is they may rebate for up to $10,000 square feet worth of turf. So I've got to do more investigation with that, but we can look into some of those kinds of things to see if there's any rebates or anything like that to help keep the cost down if we're going to go that direction.
Okay.
This, I don't know, you guys may remember this, but a few months ago, a citizen named Marilyn Mott sent us all a really nasty email about this park. And Mike and I had been out to this park just before that. So I was kind of familiar, and it really struck a chord with me when I read her message. And so, I've been spending a little time and talking to staff about this. And this is a park where, it's 40 years old, and we've just sort of let it go because no one's really bugged us about doing what we should have done. And and working with Nick and hearing the story, the story dates back to when Daryl wanted to fix the irrigation around the edge because of all the lips, and then the cost got so high, and then we were in such financial trouble, and the whole thing just sort of got put on the back burner and ignored. And it really doesn't look very nice out there. I think the picture that you showed is a really accurate reflection of what it looks like. If 30 to 40 feet from the track looks pretty nasty. And the problem is the track is banked. And you noticed in that picture where he had the edges, there's little notches in the concrete, and that's where the water is supposed to drain off the track and onto the grass. And it did that for a while, and now it's piled up, and now that's not just high; it's high decomposed granite because it's dirt that migrated off the track. So then, when it rains, the water has no place to go. So it takes a while to get our track back in place. So basically, it just needs a lot of work, and the fixes that Nick outlined will make the center of the park very serviceable and very attractive. And we recently added a picnic area to this park, and that's especially unfortunate because now we have this new picnic area in this really terrible looking turf and a really poorly maintained park. So I would like to see the staff get on the center of this project immediately and get the architect working on the outside, and then we have to work it through the budget too because it's significant expense. And the other thing is that drought-tolerant landscape is a lot more work to maintain than grass is. Grass, you just drive a big lawnmower over it every 7 days and it's good. Drought-tolerant landscape, you've got to kill the weeds, you've got to fix the drought, fix the drip irrigation. I mean, the Westlake Golf Course put tens of thousands of feet of drought-tolerant landscape in places where they had turf, and it looks very attractive when it's taken care of. But when it's not taken care of, it looks pretty nasty. And we're going to have to make sure we work that into the maintenance budget as well. And it'll take an architect to decide what sort of plants need to be where. But the areas around the park, particularly on the north side, the trees look to me like they're very close to the property line and are probably dripping seeds and leaves into the neighbors' houses. And as part of doing this outside of the project, we need to get the neighbors involved and see what they want to do. I mean, they may love the trees, they may hate the trees. We generally love trees and like trees, and they provide shade and cooling and all that. But all of that needs, and that's the longer term part of it. But I would really like to see the staff, as soon as the time and resources are available, to get this irrigation system fixed and these lips ground down and all that DG removed, and have that area reseeded and get it growing again. This park's deserve it. This park's a real jewel. It's a really neat little park, and it's the only public track that I know of that's available, and it has a restroom, and it's a real quiet environment because it's in a residential area. It's really something special, and it's worth fixing up. So that's my take on it. I see it as a two-step process: is fixing the irrigation on the center and then redoing the outside, longer term.
Bob, I have one. I had one more question for you. These little pins that you have marked here where the lighting is going to go, there's no lighting there now, right?
No, there is not.
Okay. And is your vision there, is that light poles or is that low profile lighting that would
It would be light poles, like walkway lights, like you see around, like not parking lot lights, but walkway lights. 12, 15 feet tall.
Okay. And you said there is a light in the middle of that park right now?
Correct.
Where is that located?
Let's see. Well, if you see in that picture back there, right, that blue post is right here, and the playground's adjacent, right in that area.
Now, is that in the center of the track there?
That's actually the old playground used to be located there.
Okay.
So that's.
I can't
Yes,
tell
it's the
from
center. If you go back to the map view, it's in the center.
It is in the center of the track. Okay. So we'd be moving lighting closer to people's homes then.
Yeah. So currently it's
Up
somewhere
there.
right in that area. Yes. So
Okay.
if by putting perimeter lights, now we'd be doing LEDs, of course, low voltage. So it wouldn't be to, really for practice. It would be more for evening. So there's somewhat of an illumination as you're walking.
Okay, I'm just wondering whether the sometimes you see in public places lighting that the posts are only about 4 feet high and have a light that shines out one direction. That something like that would
that definitely could be an option.
Yeah, could light the track and not be less intrusive to the neighborhood. But anyway, that will come with future design. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Nick, have you guys played with the idea of possibly dumping the irrigation idea and putting synthetic turf, at least in that middle part out there? Maybe take those small trees out on the north end and kind of putting a perimeter line coming down from those larger trees and then wrapping around?
Like a strip of artificial around the inside perimeter of the track? The whole thing? No, we have not.
Because that would eliminate the need for any water irrigation and probably pay for itself over a number of years, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we have not looked at that option.
This is one of the only parks that of our patchwork of small 5-acre parks that has any flat land on it. Not saying that it's completely flat.
Right.
But it's some of the flatter land among many of our parks. And I agree with Mike and Elaine that we should provide more places where, Frisbee, and you could even do maybe even a little lawn bowling or, a whole myriad of things that could be developed there. And I don't know if it's too expensive of an idea or what have you, but it would save us water. It would save us the work on the irrigation. Of course, the turf would be expensive, but they make a turf that most of the time when you have synthetic turf fields of the higher end quality, you have to have them fenced because most people do not understand that they're not indestructible.
Right.
But they do make a level of turf that is very, very durable and can withstand a lot of public use. So I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but the thing of trying to keep green space with real grass other than sports fields is getting to I'm assuming in a few years we won't even be able to do it. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. With that said, the suggested action, is the board agreeable to give the direction that's stated in item E?
Well, I think we all agreed that we want to do some type of long-term solution, big fix, not
The option 2.
no quick fix.
Specifically the option 2?
Yes.
Mark?
Well, you need option 1 and 2.
Well, 2 includes 1, doesn't it?
Yes. Two would be basically everything. Basically a brand new facelift on the entire park.
That's what I understood.
1 would be for in-house staff to get in there basically soon as maybe hopefully within a few months, as soon as some of our other projects wind down, to get in there, remove the lips, put in the irrigation. I think option 2 is definitely a long-term plan.
Well, I believe that's the direction we're giving you. So it is.
Okay.
Is there a question from Mary or staff from the board? I guess we're in agreement. You guys understand?
So if I'm understanding, with option 2, we're going to wait, we're going to come back with an architectural, we'll come back, have an architectural design, look at that whole thing. They'd come back, look at dealing with the lips and doing all that complete irrigation system and come back with some options. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so we don't want to, so with we're not doing option 1 where we go and at least fix the irrigation initially.
Well, I think we need to look at option 2 and see if that's where we want to go. And if it turns out too expensive, then maybe we reconsider option 1. But right now,
Okay.
I think that I get the feeling that we're all in favor of going forward with them.
How much time are we talking?
For option 1 would be about again, I'll reiterate, option 1 would be for in-house staff to go in, knock down the lips, and fix the interior perimeter irrigation and the center irrigation only. We're not doing anything on the other side of the park. We're just focusing on the center, the big portion of the park. And I'd estimate 4 to 6 weeks for everything for that, for the removal of the lips, new irrigation, new valves, and new irrigation installed. Right now, there's currently no irrigation along the inside perimeter of the track.
So
the lateral lines are there. The heads have been pulled out and capped because, as Director Malloy was saying, that several years ago this plan was in progress and it got derailed.
But the valve boxes would stay.
Yeah, all the valves are all there.
Yeah, so that's another issue. Okay.
But that will be considered in option 2.
That absolutely, yes, that would be also in the scope of work for option 2.
And about how long is the estimate to get back around to us?
for option 2, it's going to be some time, because option 2 is, you're probably looking, if you want to do something along those lines, I'm going to throw a raw number out, is you're looking at least a $500,000 project.
At least.
So you're looking for a $500,000 project, you're looking at next budget year. So the question is, with that, that's the reason for the clarification, is if we're looking at option 2, you're looking at least 6-8 months before that park is touched at all.
Okay, I understand your inquiry.
Okay.
And I guess Mark is the one, you're the one, Mark, I think. You're saying maybe going with 1 and then doing 2?
Yes. Yes, and, amongst the things that we have to consider is, when you have a dirt path around it, you create a long-term problem, because dirt's always going to migrate downhill, and it's always going to migrate into the park. So, what this park needs much more than an artificial surface on the grass, it really needs an artificial surface to walk on, because the primary use of this park is walking on the track. And that's the thing that this park needs the most. It looks ratty because, as Nick said, the irrigation system is missing in action on the inside of the track. So that's why it looks so nasty, and it looks especially nasty down where we put the new picnic area in and where the previous picnic area is. I mean, it amazes me how healthy those trees are, because the ground is just beat to death there. It's getting very little irrigation because there's nothing nearby to cover it. So to me, that's an urgent problem. And the outside of the track and putting an artificial surface on the track, that's a longer term thing that we got to decide, and will take some serious money to address it.
What do the rest of you think? I'm inclined to go along with Director Malloy after hearing how long it's going to be before.
And the money.
I guess I would say we want to do what we need to do to keep the park functional and usable and not deteriorate any further for the moment without spending a whole lot of money if we are considering doing a longer term project to redesign the entire thing.
And I will say, making these not small, but small and compared to the big scope of things will make a huge difference to this site.
Okay, so we're now looking at doing option 1 as a short-term gap measure, but then moving on into option 2 as a long-term solution.
Yeah, and so just for clarification, so option 1, we're still probably looking about 4 months with the other projects on our plate, because we still have Springville we need to finish, we have opening season for girls softball, baseball, all of those things that are coming up. So the short term is you're looking at least probably 3 to 4 months out. Long term would be, it would come back for when we do budget hearings, it would come back in May as a capital item for next year.
So in other words, we're not going to get it done anyway, so there's no real reason not to just do option 2.
So option.
It's not going to get done for months and months anyway.
I'm just saying that we'll start to fit this in as the project. So going with option 1 will be a good stopgap. Option 2 is going to take a lot more time, because option 2, by the time we budget, which you're looking May or June, we approve the budget in July. You're looking, and then we go out and get a bid for architectural design. We get community input. We look at all of those things. You're looking at probably 8 to 9 months. The short fix is probably 3 to 4 months when we can get that fixed.
Okay. So then,
one and
it's
two.
going to be option 1, and then looking ahead into option 2, during the same time that we're attempting to complete option 1. Is that basically it?
Correct.
Then that'll be the direction.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Chairman Kelly, could we have a 10-minute break?
I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, the television signal has been going in and out all night. Very little of this has been on television.
How did you know that?
F,
right?
F.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah.
We have to do that at least one night.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's tradition. It's tradition that the new chair misses some agenda items, yes.
CalTrust Investment Plan, item F.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly, members of the board. Tonight I am going to present to you an investment option that's known as CalTrust. In July of 2018, Director Magner, who is not only on the board of directors for PVRPD, she's too on the board of directors for CSDA, had attended a CSDA event and brought back some information with regarding CalTrust and asked the staff to explore the investment option. Mary and I met with the CalTrust and BlackRock team in July and we reviewed their investment options. I presented the investment options at the November 2018 Finance Committee meeting, and they asked that I bring this option to the board. In January of 2015, we had entertained the idea of CalTrust at the time as an investment option, but their system was, for lack of a better term, it was antiquated. It required a lot of paperwork that you had to do deposits and withdrawals. At that time, we had also met with the Ventura County Pool and Multi-Bank Securities. At the December 2015 board meeting, I brought all of these investment options to the board, and at that time, the board chose to go with Ventura County Pool, investing in our general fund day-to-day operations into the Ventura County Pool, along with the Quimby money that we've been receiving. We also had invested some of our Quimby money into the multi-bank securities, and we continue to invest in the LAIF, Local Agency Investment Fund, which the district has been using for many years. Recently, the Ventura County Pool changed their withdrawal procedures. They had an incident of fraud, and they notified me that the paperwork that I would fill out would have to be in their possession as the original paperwork before they would do the withdrawal and send us the money. I told them that that was not really an option, that I'm in Camarillo and driving down to the government center would be really difficult. So they agreed that as long as the general manager's signature is on it and that they receive that within 2 to 3 days after I've requested a withdrawal, that they would still honor the withdrawal process in the way we have been doing it. But having those new procedures at any time, they could call me and say, you know what, we need to go back to what we originally wanted, where the paperwork needs to be here before we do the withdrawal. So this was one of the reasons that we decided to revisit the CalTrust investment. Again, we met with CalTrust in July, and we presented the CalTrust investment options to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee reviewed it and made a couple of recommendations as far as what they thought might be some options. We could keep the Ventura County unrestricted funds, which is my day-to-day operations. Those are monies I would do withdrawals every week or every other week to keep up with payroll and accounts payable. We could move those to the CalTrust. And then the restricted funds, which is the Quimby money, leave at the Ventura County Pool. CalTrust is a partner with the California Special Districts Association, known as CSDA. It also offers online deposits and withdrawals, which is much more, they've come a long way in the 4 years, or the 3 years since we first interviewed them. We can have multiple accounts with CalTrust, and they recommend that if we choose to do any type of investment with CalTrust, that we use the Fed fund, which is a government money market fund. The money market is invest in short-term debt, and it's U.S. Treasury bills and bonds. The funds are not backed, and the CalTrust does not charge any type of fees for deposits or withdrawals. Here is a chart that can show you what we currently are earning with our different investments. You see we have LAIF at 2.2, the Ventura County pool's at 2.4, and MBS ranges from 2.3 to 2.7 regarding the length of time of our CD. Here are the CalTrust investment options with their rate of return. They run from 2.08 clear up to 2.79, depending on the length of the investment.
Can you point out on that one, which one you're just referring to as a recommendation?
It would be the second one, the money market at 2.31% with the liquidity of same day. So the fiscal impact would basically be the rate of return or the interest that the district would receive on the funds. So again, the recommendation, I'm presenting two options: to transfer the Ventura County pool unrestricted, keeping in mind those are our day-to-day operations where I do weekly, if not biweekly or every other week withdrawals, to CalTrust, and leave the Ventura County pool restricted funds, which are our Quimby money, with the, at the Ventura County pool. Option two would to be leave everything as is at the Ventura County pool, but in the event Ventura County pool notifies me that they need to go back to the where I have to have the paperwork to them before they will release the funds, this would allow me to immediately move the money to open up a CalTrust account and move the money from Ventura County pool to CalTrust, where it's easier to move the money into the general fund checking account at Pacific Western Bank.
So I'm sorry, does that mean so you can do a money transfer without having to have the signature in place? Is that
It's
what you're saying?
automated, yes.
Okay.
So just for clarification, with this, I know that it says investment because that's what a lot of it looks like, but it really is for the day-to-day operations. So it's not necessarily taking the money that we have in the Ventura County pool from the restricted side, because typically with the restricted or the Quimby or the capital, we're not making day-to-day operations. So if we had to get a wet signature, had to go down there, we're not doing that on a day-to-day basis. So the Ventura County pool, because that's where we take money from and then put it into PAC West. So if we need to make payroll or those kinds of things, we're doing that more often. So that's the reason for this conversation, is that they've changed that procedure. So it's not a matter of changing everything that we're doing and changing all the banking and doing all of those things that we're doing. And so sometimes when you say an investment, it's like, oh, we're going to, the money's going to be in there for a long period of time. So you're looking at a percentage or 1/4% or something like that. It's not going to be in there that long. That's the reason I want to make sure that everybody understands it's not really the investment side that we're looking at. It's the banking side of this.
Even for the Quimby?
Right now, correct.
Okay, it would just be the day-to-day Quimby money that we've already approved to expend or whatever.
It wouldn't necessarily be the Quimby, because the Quimby we're not spending on a day-to-day basis. So typically what happens is it's the unrestricted, it's the general fund money that we're doing and that we're banking. So a lot of that extra money, we only keep X amount of money at PAC West. So what happens is let's say we have $200,000 at PAC West. The rest of it sits over at Ventura County Pool. If we have a payroll run or if we have an AP run, then what we do is in the past, we've wired money over to PAC West through Ventura County Pool. Now they're saying we need a wet signature. And if that happens, that means once or twice a week or even more, we're running over to Ventura, to the government center to sign off on that to get money transferred. So we're saying is if that happens, what we'd like to be able to do is go with CalTrust, try that as a banking option. CalTrust just started that banking option about probably 6-8 months ago. So it's fairly new and it's an online process, but it wouldn't be changing all our money into CalTrust at this time.
So we're not looking at the investments at this time. Are we ever going to look at the investments, or?
We can put that on as looking at investments down the road, because I know we've got another one that comes up January, February, so we can look at that as well.
Do they have a max amount?
The
A limit?
CalTrust?
Yeah,
For, no, they do not. A
Okay.
maximum or minimum, no, they do not.
okay. And no fees,
Correct,
even on electronic transfers?
correct.
Okay.
So right now, your payroll is paid out of what agency?
It comes out of the general fund account, which is held at Pacific Western Bank. But when I do have a payroll or accounts payable, which that also comes out of the Pacific Western Bank, I need to do a withdrawal from the Ventura County pool, our unrestricted money. That's the tax apportionment money that we get in
Okay.
April and December, as well as our deposits that we get for classes and camps.
So would you be looking to replace PacWest with this CalTrust account? Or is that?
No, because PacWest is our checking account. So we have to have a checking account. And having a checking account with CalTrust, it would be difficult because I don't have a place I can go physically make a deposit, because we do get cash and checks at the district office.
So the CalTrust just is an easier option for transferring money to PacWest for your payroll? Is that?
It would be, yes, because what I would do is I could deposit it into Pacific Western, and then from there, I can move the money to CalTrust, like I'm doing right now with LAIF, as well as the Ventura County pool. When we get our tax apportionment money, it comes into the Pacific Western Bank. At that time, I then move the money either to a LAIF or to a Ventura County pool. Mary and I get together and we discuss how to disseminate the funds.
Okay. So our funds would be, the resources would be distributed between quite a number of different agencies, and you'd just be adding CalTrust as one more option.
It could be another option, exactly.
Okay.
You have anything more?
Well, I think you've all got the concept now. I mean, basically, we leave all the serious money in accounts that earn interest. The Ventura County pool is now at 2.433%. And the reason we haven't looking at any long-term investments, as you probably read, is right now the interest rates are upside down. Right now, long-term interest rates aren't better than short-term interest rates. It's a real anomaly. So there's just no motivation for us to do that. We're earning good interest, and then Leo moves it out as necessary. And we've liked the local area, the Ventura County Pool Fund. We've met the people that run it here, based in Ventura and with local investment. That all works good. But the mechanism for moving it around, they've threatened to make it hard. And they backed down when Leo asked them to, so it's still easy. But at any point in time, they could just say, sorry, don't want to do this anymore. And we're going to put this option into the approved.
And that would involve every time we wanted to move money, running down there and doing the whole wet signature thing and all that?
Correct. If they decided that they did not want to honor, just using snail mail they cannot accept I can scan it to them, but that's not the final document. It has to be the wet signature, which is sent through the U.S. Post Office.
Anyone else?
The interest rates are very, very close to identical. So there's 50 cents a month of fiscal impact here between the two. It's simply a matter of operationally making it doable for Leo.
A motion.
Mark, you want to make it?
Well,
Or you want to have a discussion?
yeah, I think we need to discuss, because we have to decide whether we want to now transfer the funds or we just want to authorize using CalTrust.
Okay, I thought that's what we were doing.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think we should probably do it now, and the reason is it could be tomorrow, and then how long is it going to take us to get a CalTrust account up and running? And if she's got payroll to make.
Well, there's no need to do that. You could, if they did it tomorrow, somebody'd have to drive to Ventura once.
I understand that.
it's not-
I understand that, but she may or may not be in that day.
Well, we can open an account without having to put millions of dollars in it, because that's what we're talking about.
How much money are we talking about here? If we were to move the entire unrestricted Ventura County pool
Well,
dollars?
considering I just got the tax apportionment, my Ventura County pool unrestricted is a little over $1 million.
Okay. Well, what about opening an account now with just a seed amount of money, whatever? Would you use that? Would you currently use that account, or would you just use
What I
it?
could do is if the board wishes for me to open up the CalTrust account with seed money, I believe the minimum was $2,500. I'd have to double check, and I could bring that back to the finance committee or to the board next month.
What makes it easiest for you?
Well, right now, my plan with Ventura County Pool is working. It's not disruptive to the office. It's not disruptive to Mary, Phil, or myself. But in the event that the Ventura County Pool said we can't honor our mechanism that we've offered you, I'm going to have to rush around to figure out how to get that money out of there, or until the next board meeting, drive down to Ventura every week. Until I get we have a board meeting where you authorized me to open up the CalTrust. With tonight, if option 2, we could leave the money where it's at because the system is working, but you could also allow me to open up a CalTrust account, or you could say in the event you need to open up a CalTrust account, you can.
Well, that answers my question.
Well, I would recommend,
Open the account.
my recommendation is that we go ahead and allow staff to open up a CalTrust account and just have with seed money or whatever it takes, just to have it available, and then they can make a transfer if we run into problems. We can just do a test run, and if we have issues or problems, then go ahead and execute it in full if we need to. What do you think, Elaine?
I think we go all the way. I just think we're done with it.
Be done with,
I think we just make the move and be done with it.
are you saying?
And that's one less account. I mean, then that saves the same amount of accounts that she now has to deal with. Or if we add a CalTrust, that makes it that she has another fund to deal with. And I think we do all or none. And I know what happened at Ventura County, and it could happen again. There's nothing saying it can't happen again. They think it's safe now, but it may or may not be safe.
I'm of the opinion, and again, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong or good or bad, but my gut tells me having multiple accounts is a good thing in that as long as it doesn't interfere with staff working and time, efficiency and stuff. If something goes wrong, you don't have as much money in one pot as you would if you had accounts. But that's a fallback mechanism, fail-safe issue.
Are any of these insured accounts?
Excuse me?
Are these accounts insured?
No, they're not.
None of them.
None of them are.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. I think it's a foundational question, actually. You've told us that everything is okay right now.
It is.
And so I guess I have this question. Why is this on the agenda tonight?
Because in the event there is a problem with the Ventura County Pool, as far as doing withdrawals, I would like to have the option to immediately move the money over to CalTrust without having to wait for a board meeting. Or I'd have to call a special board meeting. Or I could move all the money back into Pacific Western and into that account where it doesn't earn any interest, or into a money market at Pacific Western, which is 0.25%.
So you see this as a significant problem potentially for you?
It definitely could be. It could be a problem that never happens,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to err on the side of caution.
So this is just not some minor problem here. This is something that if this happened, it would cause you great grief and a lot of consternation and...
It would be a definite inconvenience to the admin department.
Okay, that answers my question.
Well, let me suggest the compromise then, which is the suggested action number 1, which is to transfer the unrestricted funds to CalTrust and to leave the Ventura County pool restricted funds they're still in there. So we'd have money in both places. We'd gain experience working with CalTrust, and we'd still have some of our money locally and some of our money with CalTrust.
Okay, so our general fund day-to-day operations would be moved to CalTrust, and our Quimby money would be staying at the Ventura County pool.
Right, that's suggested action 1.
I'll make a motion to transfer the Ventura County Pool unrestricted funds to CalTrust money market and leave the Ventura County Pool restricted funds with the Ventura County Pool, which is option 1.
Yeah,
Before we
right.
get a second on that, I just have a question. Director Malloy offered a compromise. Does that compromise take care of the issues you have?
It does.
Go ahead.
Well,
Actually, staff gets credit, not Director Malloy. Staff. I just read it off the paperwork. So.
All right. Can we have a second on Elaine's motion?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Now we're going to get to G. Consideration of a proposed right of entry agreement between Advantage Telecom, Inc. and Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District.
Discussion. I don't know. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly and members of the board. Anthony Miller, Administrative Analyst with the district. Tonight you are considering a proposal that in exchange for a right of entry agreement with and the usage of a portion of our rooftop at the community center, Advantage Telecom has offered to discount the district's administrative office internet services in exchange for placing a removable radio on the roof of the community center storage room next to room 6. Advantage Telecom will need access to the Rizzo room and rooftop in order to install the radio and perform periodic maintenance or repair. So a little bit of background. In September of this past year, I was getting used to saying that, Steve Henry, our contact at Advantage Telecom, approached myself to discuss a possible reduction in our rates on internet services at the community center. The company Advantage Telecom would exchange that discount for placing a radio on the community center roof and would use that radio to provide high-speed internet access to the Royal Gardens nursing home, which is across the street from the community center park. Currently, Royal Gardens does not have access to any high-speed internet connection on an in-ground line, which is how the Park District Community Center gets our internet service, is through an in-ground installation. Advantage has, we have had a relationship with Advantage since August of 2016, and in general, the Park District has had a good relationship with this contractor. The current service contract expires in August of 2019. So, staff has determined that through discussion with the contractor that any installation of this radio will not interfere with district work or district service. In addition, the Park District would see a benefit of approximately $215 a month in form of a discount on our monthly internet service bill, which would put it at $100 a month. Once the radio is installed, Advantage will continue to need limited access to the radio site for maintenance and some repairs if necessary. However, when I say limited access, that is not anticipated to be any form of substantial access at all. It's quite limited. So staff
sought to control any potential issues with with certain points in the proposed contract. Specifically, the items on the in the presentation: generally, work will be in compliance with Camarillo's noise ordinance between 8 and 4. Generally, work will be completed during district business hours, so that way staff is on site. For extraordinary circumstances in which staff is not available, Advantage Telecom will attempt to provide a 72-hour notice. This is an event of something like, a storm or some kind of problem with the receiver or with the radio that causes it to be out of commission. The work area on the roof will be restored at to its original state at the completion of the contract. And Advantage Telecom will be responsible for paying the actual costs associated with modifying the site. Advantage will also replace all district property which is damaged in connection with this project, if any at all, which, with the details of the project, it's highly unlikely that they will be needing to do anything that might cause damage. And the term of this agreement will align with the terms of the district's internet service agreements as a whole, so that way it will correspond with our renegotiation or any negotiations of our whole overall internet service contract. Also, if the internet service contracts with Advantage expire, so meaning if we switch providers, the agreement will continue in force with 3-year terms, and Advantage will continue to agree to pay the district $215 per month in lieu of a service discount, which can be negotiated at a later date. If Advantage's client, the retirement or the nursing home, across the street, if their current contract expires, this agreement will also expire, and the radio will be removed. So the fiscal impact overall will be $215 per month for savings on the internet service contract with the approval of this agreement. And it is recommended that the board approve the right of entry agreement with Advantage Telecom for the use of the Community Center Administrative Office's rooftop. Any questions?
Hey, good evening. And you said there's not going to be any degrading to our service, so they're not piggybacking on our existing line or service. So in other words, we're not going to see a degrade of our internal use by them.
Specifically, they would be running what was called another circuit. So they'd be using existing conduit to the community center to run a separate circuit. So they actually wouldn't be touching our internet service at all. They would just simply be placing an extra box or a receiver for them to broadcast from.
Electrical, is there any electrical use going on with their stuff tied into our power here, or where's our power coming from?
It's minor, and the overall power for the antenna, as far as I'm understanding it, is run actually through the signal. So, for example, we have Ethernet in a building like this. You can do what's called power over Ethernet, which is power provided from the data cable itself, basically, to run the signal.
So it'd be minor to none. Yeah. Minor to very, very little. I mean,
yes.
Whatever. Okay. Is there going to be anything visual? I know I saw the map and diagram where you're placing this, but if you're walking outside or somewhere in the grounds looking up at this, are you going to see something sticking up way up high? Or, I mean, how high visually? I don't have an idea.
These antennas are approximately my height, actually, and that rooftop has it's recessed a little bit from it has a lip of about 3 feet or so. And it should be set back from that lip far enough to where if you are able to see anything, it should just be the very top. And that might be halfway to the parking lot that you might be able to see it. So a pretty long.
Now, is the antenna going to be up in its raw form, or do they put a covering over the antenna?
It's most similar. Comparison would be what's on the rooftop of the Freedom office, actually. There is a dish out there. It looks kind of like a basket with a piece of paper over the top of it almost. So it looks kind of like a bowl with saran wrap over the top of it. So it's not really a true antenna.
Okay. Now, and obviously Bob can probably guess this next question. Are there going to be drilling holes through our roof or punching holes through that roof? I mean, I'm nervous about water coming down again. Or are they going to punch holes and say, oh, no, we're going to put epoxy around there and fix it or something? Or how are they going to put this up there and make me happy that we're not going to have water in the building?
So the contractor can do this one of two ways. They have the ability. They're licensed to install these, and they will be drilling one hole if they were to install this, and it would be a part of the access hatch. and they're licensed the same way like a roofing company would be licensed to do that kind of work, or they would contract a roofing company to do the approved modification.
But you guys are comfortable that we're not going to have any leaks? Okay. On page 329 of our handout, there's a section in there that's talking about relocation at the bottom of that page 329. And I've read through there several times. What I'm trying to understand is, can they move this site? Can they make a recommendation to move their equipment to another site without our permission, or we always have control of that? I want to make sure of. You see what I'm talking about?
Yes. They can make a suggestion that they would like to move it. That is dependent upon our acquiescence to that suggestion.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same wavelength there, that they don't, once they get up there, if 2 years from now they decided to move it somewhere else, they just can't pick it up and plop it down somewhere else without our permission.
Anywhere within the current work area, I believe, would be somewhat consistent with the original agreement. I think this is specifically discussing areas outside of that area.
Okay.
Yeah. Which would then become.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then my last question is, what would happen, and I looked through here and I can't really, maybe I missed something or you can help me out. In these type of telecommunication type companies and stuff, they often get bought or sold, or they buy someone, or they get bought out or something. If they get bought out, I guess all this is still in effect, I'm assuming, to be transferable, or do we have issues there? Do we have to be concerned about if they get bought out? You see what I'm going with that?
I do, and I can honestly say it's not an issue that I anticipated. So it is, as far as I know, the agreement survives their ownership of the company. However, we can initiate, we can break the contract with a 30-day notice if needed.
Okay.
And if that becomes something that we have to discuss, then that's an option.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
He asked my question about the hole in the leak.
No questions.
No questions.
And I have no questions.
Well, then I'll make a motion. In just a minute, I'll tell you what I'm going to.
Take your time.
To approve the right of entry agreement with Advanced Telecom for the use of the Community Center Administrative Office rooftop.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. After much self-deliberation, over a period of 4 or 5 days, I have come to a conclusion on committee assignments. Hardly anyone got exactly what they wanted, including yours truly. And at the end of it all, and I've already made this comment, but what I found out is that this board is so talented and has so many talented people on it that it's extremely hard to put people on committees, because so many of these people would be good at almost every committee that we have. And so with that said, I will pass out the committee assignments. I have them even in writing. We'll be taking complaints in
30 minutes. Mary needs one, too. Mary needs one.
Oh, no, it's
We're cheating. We're sharing. We're sharing. Oh, here we go. You can have your own.
Do you want to read them off for the public?
Yeah. Okay. For our audience at home, and all the people that are here tonight. Finance Committee will be Mark Malloy, Mike Mishler. I have not selected alternates yet, but I will go ahead and do that very shortly. Personnel is Elaine Magner and myself. Policy is myself and Elaine Magner. Liaison is Neil Dixon and Mike Mishler. Long Range Planning is Neil Dixon and Mark Malloy. And Foundation, of course, is Elaine Magner. The other committees, the VCSDA, CSDA, and Santa Monica Mountains remain the same as last year.
Shouldn't we add the Consolidated Oversight Board on that too?
We will.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Mike, so.
Next is item I, consideration to conduct the annual goal-setting meeting. We need to discuss dates.
So what we can do with that is typically at the end of January, 1st of February, is we do board goal setting. So what we can do is actually have Megan go ahead and send out an email regarding dates and times, so that way everybody has their calendars in front of them. So we will she will work on that starting tomorrow, so she'll send it out to everybody with some potential dates and times.
I would recommend shooting at the earliest, like the second week of February. Second and third week is,
Of February?
yeah, as
Okay.
a starting
As a-
window.
Okay.
I mean,
We
if
can
you're
look at
looking at a
that.
window start time,
Sure.
it's like push it back to at least the second or maybe third week of February, as a starting window.
Why?
I have the annual special meetings and a whole bunch of other meetings tied up in there.
Okay. Because I'm having major surgeries in February, but
Oh.
let's see
Okay,
what
well,
falls
okay,
out.
okay,
Let's
okay.
see what falls out, so. Okay.
I mean, it's not absolute, but whatever.
The other point of clarification is typically we've done it during a weeknight. I know in the past they've done it weeknights or weekends. Do we prefer to look at weeknights opposed to a weekend day?
My goal there would be whatever is best, I think, for the potential public to attend. I don't know what, Elaine?
I don't care. That's.
I mean, I'm saying whatever is best, whatever way we think.
That's the chair. I have no. I don't have no.
Well, the
preference.
staff needs to attend, and it's a lot
Yeah,
easier for the
staff
staff to attend
needs
a
to attend,
weeknight
so it
meeting
should
than
be.
it
Right.
is a weekend meeting, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no preference.
All right. So we'll have Megan send those out. Okay.
I'm actually, from the 5th to the 20th, I am jam-packed.
Of February?
Of February. The 21st and thereafter, I'm good. 18th and 19th. How many days are we doing this time?
Typically, we've done it one evening from like 5 or 6 until about 8 or 9.
I'm thinking, is there any particular day that everybody wants?
What's good for Neil?
Yeah.
Well, Thursdays are always the easiest for me. I can do another day if I know far in advance.
Thursday, the 21st works for me. I'll start it.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't have my calendar with me, so, and I've got more appointments I have to make with the doctors, so.
Okay. So what is your pleasure?
Well, let Megan come out with an email tomorrow and we can just give her, as long as she has your dates, that's the best thing.
That's fine.
Okay.
So that's what.
That's my suggestion anyhow.
Megan will go ahead and send us all an email and we'll respond.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Informational items. Chairman Kelly, as you can probably tell, I've been under the weather for about a week, and I actually, although it might not be obvious, I tried to talk as little as possible tonight. As far as the chairman's report, I'm pretty much glad to be back. I'm glad to be working with the people to each side of me. This year we have a lot of things that are going to come up, a full plate, and I'm excited to be working on it. I've been very lucky that in the years that I've been the chair, that I've gotten to work on some significant projects for the district and the citizens. And so I'm hoping that that's what happens this year. Ventura County Special District Association.
Okay, we haven't met since our last meeting. We have the annual meeting coming up in February, and Mike will be getting information out on that, I'm sure. California Special Districts Association, I spent half of the month of December in Sacramento. We have a new public affairs person assigned to us. I'm making arrangements with him to attend the VCSDA meeting, and also I've invited him to one of our board meetings so that he can meet all of you individually. So I've known him for some time. It's CSDA started with 2, and they split the state with 2, and then they went to 4, and we kept the one that we'd had before, and now this one, he was the one that was in the Central Valley, and he'll be moving over to the coast. So he's been with CSDA for some time, and he's a real sharp young man, so I think you will all like him. I will be in I attended my first executive board meeting for CSDA in December, and that was a real enlightening experience, let me tell you, because we did the CEO's performance appraisal, and whoa, they have no rhyme or reason why they come up with things, and that's not me. I have a rhyme or reason, so. But I didn't have a vote this time. Since I was there, I don't get voted in until next week, so. But they had invited me to come and see it, so I'm glad I did. So I'll be up there. Some real interesting legislative items coming up, kind of scary ones for CSDA and for special districts and for personal. So we'll just have to see what the new governor and his legislative body decide to do, especially with the major supermajority. So it's going to be real interesting. So other than that, well, I'll keep you all posted. I think you all got your grassroots. I think, did you send it out to everybody? I didn't send it to everybody. Okay, Anthony will send the grassroots out to everybody, but that's really not even up to date, so things have changed today even, so. But I'll try to keep everybody informed of things that are going to have impacts on us. So, and I know Mary got a request for feedback on a couple things, so she and I'll be providing feedback. So appreciate it. And also, I would just like to express to the board, I think we need to approve some kind of a policy on when there's a call for action or something where we can have our say to our legislative people that we support or we don't support something and things. So.
Wayne, is that going to be do we need one of our committees to work that out with staff?
Yeah. Mary and I've already talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need some guidelines or something there put together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mary and I've already talked about it, but I just want everybody to know that I think we need to move forward with a policy because I just see a lot of things happening this year that I think we should have a voice in, so. Okay.
Great idea.
That's all.
Oversight Board.
The next meeting, well, in theory, it's going to be the 3rd week or 4th week here of January coming up. We'll see. I haven't heard if it's been confirmed or not because they have to go through and get a new city representative and everything. Okay.
You're next.
Oh, Santa Monica, we had no meeting yet since our last board meeting.
Finance?
Okay, Finance, CalPERS just sent out their annual report, and I'll be updating next month with Leo's help at our 6-month point. And not a pretty picture at CalPERS, but you'll get all the gory details next month. The good news, which you probably saw in your email, but we got our first tax apportionment payment, and as you can see, look at fiscal 17-18 Fund 10, which is the big part of the budget. We got 53% of budget last year with this check, and this year in 18-19 we came through with 53%. So that's some stellar budgeting by our team. And same on the Fund 20, the assessment money. It's right on track with what we expected. And you're looking at about 180-some thousand more than last year. So this is the big variable in our finances, is how much comes in from property tax revenue, which is the lion's share of our income, and it's all good news. So I just wanted to show you that. As far as the regular spending, we're right on track as normal, and like I say, we'll have 6 month numbers next month. That's all I have.
Liaison?
Nothing.
Liaison committee did not meet this month.
Personnel?
Did not meet.
And policy?
Did not meet.
Foundation?
Well, Connor very gave a very good report on our ugly sweater and donut dash. It was exciting. I was at the starting, at the ending of the donut dash and seeing some of the results of the donut dash. But let me tell you, I don't think anybody didn't have a good time. It was just awesome. And Megan did a bang-up job. It was just super. We haven't had another meeting. We'll have another meeting in a couple weeks, and I'll give everybody an update. But we've got some other things being planned, so be ready.
GM?
Just a couple follow-up items. As you heard tonight, Springville Dog Park, working on the block wall has been completed, as you saw. You saw the first part of the mow curb. The rest of that should be done January 10th. I was out there earlier this morning. They were actually finishing the forming, so that should all be done, working on the irrigation. So it's coming along. It's just taking some time. So, and they're moving along. January, we should see the shipment for the Nancy Bush playground stuff. So once we have final shipment date, we'll excuse me, get information up online so everybody knows when that will be closed temporarily and put that project up online. We'll be starting the community center. The women's restroom on the outside has been completed. If you haven't seen that, huge upgrade. We'll be starting on the men's either tomorrow or the first of next week, and that should be done in about 6 weeks or so. Camarillo Grove Park, just updating. Bob met out there today with the insurance. They will begin to address the hazards, so removing the artificial turf, playgrounds, trees, benches, that kind of stuff. So we'll deal with that initially, and then we'll be working with them to figure out if we're going to go through our vendors or their vendors to start replacing that stuff. So we'll get you a better timeline once we kind of start working through that. The hope, once again, would be is if we can get the hazards out, we'll be at least able to start opening portions of the park. So for dog park, for people like that would be able to go back out there. We have, just following up with, we have the RFP that's out for the architectural design. Those are due back the 15th. We have sent out approximately 8 to 10 to different architectural design vendors, people that we've either dealt with, city or such, so hoping for a good response from that. And then sometime, potentially in the next month and a half, we should see the audit report, so that should be coming back to the board probably March or so. So those are the things that we have coming up down the road.
Oral communications. Anybody have anything tonight?
I do.
Okay.
He left, but Eric, would you please share with Connor that he did an excellent job? He's a very good speaker, and he went through that just without any effort whatsoever, so he did an excellent job. And thank the staff for a wonderful 2018, and I'm sure we'll all be very busy for 2019. So.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Christmas parade, another awesome event. Really want to thank the staff. You guys, I mean, I think everybody on the payroll is there that day, and it starts really early in the morning. I get to my Starbucks at about 7 o'clock, and there's already people forming all over and barriers up, and I mean, it's a really big deal. And I'd especially like to thank all the sponsors that support it. vendors that come to Santa's Village and work. I mean, really, it's really turned into a huge deal. And I'd also like to thank our county supervisor, Kelly Long, who made it for the first time this year. You know, we had to cancel last year, and she had a conflict the year before, so she and her daughter Maddie made it, and that was neat seeing them there. I also enjoyed attending the employee recognition luncheon, or I guess it was luncheon, on December 11th. That was a very fun event. I appreciate the staff that came by, and the idea of substituting the money spent on a gift exchange with helping out an employee at Conejo Valley Park and Rec who'd had their their home burned down in the fire. That was a really, really nice move, and I'm sure they were very touched by the $1,000 that we raised for them. And I'd also like to thank the staff for the nice sweaters that they bought us for the gift each year. I always enjoy wearing that. I have a whole closet full of Park District stuff, so I get to enjoy it a lot. I'd also like to encourage everybody to put January 23rd on your calendar, because the city will be reviewing all of the development projects that are in process. Among the projects are the one to build 200 homes on the Camarillo Springs Golf Course, deleting 8 of the 18 holes. Since we talked last, the developer has come up with a new proposal for a flood control plan, which involves building a wall and flooding the neighboring property much more aggressively, and then draining water onto the other side of the golf course. So while the current plan takes 8 of the 18 holes away, he's going to flood another 5 of them on the other side as a part of his plan. So I have no idea how they think this is going to survive. And then the owner of the other golf course in Camarillo has announced his plans to turn some of his golf course into housing, and has proposed 124 units of housing on the periphery of his property. So the community really needs to tell our city council that converting public recreation space to housing is a really bad idea, and please don't do it. So that's on January 23rd. And the last thing I want to mention is that a law was passed this year that allows us to earn more than $100 a meeting, and which has been the compensation here for, I think, the 56 years that the district has existed. That's been the law. And we can vote ourselves a 5% increase, so we can bump that up to $105 a meeting next year, or this year. And I did the compounded math. In another 10 years, a park board member could make $156 a meeting. So that's something that we need to make a part of the normal process. You know, we all laugh about it, but it actually helped to attract future good board members if there was some reasonable compensation for it. So I think it's something we should look into. That's all I have.
Meeting is closed.
He has been waiting all night for that, guys.
I have.